The CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa is the biggest and best GT3 race in the world. It is the third round of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, but it's also a key part of GT World Challenge Europe, and we are getting ready for qualifying here at a still very hot Spa-Francorchamps. A track temperature of 41.6 degrees, and all of this coming at just after 7:30 in the evening. It's the kind of temperature now that makes you think it's a hot day, but it has dipped from the absolute peak earlier on, and the fans, wilting a little bit, are still getting themselves trackside ready for what's going to be a slightly complicated qualifying process, but a really important one, because we whittle away 69 entries and we take the fastest 32 on that combined average time into Super Pole tomorrow. Now, the circuit itself, 7 kilometres long. David Addison and Joe Osborne are trackside, and Joe, this is quite a lap.
Spa is one of those circuits that all drivers love, and the CrowdStrike 24 Hours is an event which everyone wants to win. Just over 7 kilometres, 19 corners squeezed into this layout. Sector 2, where we are currently, all about aero grip, but sectors 1 and 3, top speed is so important. Looks great, doesn't it? Laid out like that. Wait till you see it split over those 3 sectors, and you can see sector 1 dominated by the Kemmel Straight, and then that tight technical bit with Pouon in the middle. And then we add a dimension, elevation, over 100 meters gained and lost every single lap. Look at the climb all the way to the top of the Kemmel Straight. The winner did 549 laps last year. With the elevation gained, they're flying twice the height of a commercial jet, 25,000 meters gained over the race distance last year. And this is what it looks like on the front of an Audi R8. Into turn 1, La Source, one of the slowest corners of the lap, 62 kilometers an hour and second gear. Exit important here, because we're now potentially flat all the way to the end of the Kemmel Straight, nearly 2 kilometers away from where we are now. Diving downhill, it's important to set up Eau Rouge correctly. Use all of the curb on the left, get it in tight to the right, and now you're aiming for the sky. Track limits will be prevalent on the left there at the top of Radion. Through this easy flat-out kink, and this is where the circuit still rising, and you have to spot your braking point. 265 kilometers an hour, all the way down to 125. Hard on the brakes, down 3 gears. Use all of the curb on the right. Careful not to get into the gravel trap. Curb on the left, and hold it to the left for this final part of Lacombe. We see lots of cars running wide here. That can cause issues for the tyres. Downhill into Brussels. 2 options of line here. You can V the corner off and create 2 apexes, or you can do the shorter distance, which the McLaren is doing in front. Over to the right now to open up the Jackie X corner. Soft brake, get it on top of the curb, and again the gravel trap beckons car into its grasp. Downhill to my favourite corner lap. It's into Pouon. Double left. It's a soft brake. It's 6th down to 5th. Clip the first apex. Now you commit to throttle blind, and you're hoping the car sticks. Get it back to the inside. The concrete wall on the inside takes no prisoners as we get back over to the left. For pit-pat, for technical, right then left. Apex curb usage will be paramount here. You can see the dust getting kicked up by cars wearing the grass away. And this is short straight into the first part, Stavolo. Important to get over and get the car straight for the break. You're now coming in to sector 3. It's now back to full commitment and high speed, and breathe out the throttle to let the car go in. We will see drivers take that flattened Super Pole on brand new tyres and low fuel. And now we get to Blanchimont, the last of the 3 famous corners, in my opinion, here at Spa. Again, this can be taken flat. Track limits on entry and exit are monitored. The driver has to thread the needle as well as they can. And now just 1 brake to go. This is where you can make or break your lap. Hard onto the brakes. And this corner equally slow as turn 1, 62 kilometers an hour. First gear, open the last part up, straighten the wheel. And if you see a driver going straight to the line, staying to the right, you know they're on for a good lap. That was 7,004 meters of Spa, and all 19 corners in all its glory.
So that is what the lap looks like, and very shortly it's going to be a very busy circuit indeed. The lights will go green shortly at the end of the pit lane to release the cars, which are split into 3 groups. We're going to have the gold and the silver and the Pro-Am and the bronzes all split into groups, and then the Pro Cup will go separately, and part of the reason for that is that they only take part in 3 of the 4 segments of qualifying. So this, when we go live, is going to take the best part of 2¼ hours to rattle through all the different groups times 4, because, as I say, for most of the classes, it's 4 drivers to a car, and everybody has to have track time, because then you have that combined average. The top 32 on the combined average are what we're looking for, ready for the 4-part Super Pole tomorrow, where it's 1 driver all the way through, and it's 1 set of tyres all the way through as well. So there, you can see Treble 2 getting good to go. That is one of the two Seas Motorsport cars that runs outside Pro Cup. It's going to be Reece Barr who will do driving duties first. And you'll see plenty of McLarens out during the course of the session this evening as well. McLaren's guests looking on from the chicane, overlooking the final part of the circuit.
Jonathan Sims there, the director of MSO for McLaren. So great to see so many directors here at Spa. Track temp last year, 22.5. Now 41.3. Fair difference.
Let's get to the pits. We've just looked at car Treble 2. One of its drivers is Cian Jewis. He is in the pit lane with Bryn Lucas.
Well, Cian, seems like you've got a fair bit of work to do with the car. The conditions, it's got a bit cooler out there, which is going to be something towards your favour, you think?
It's certainly been nicer for us, at least. Look, let's see. It's like always, it's a very long race here. So qualifying is not super important, but you at least want to be starting the right end of the grid. So let's see what happens now. And look, it's still a long weekend.
It's not the be-all and end-all, but getting into Super Pole, at least trying to get up the order and being maybe the top 20 would be an ideal place to be. Is that feasible?
I don't know. Let's see. For sure, that's what we'll push for. I think you'll see some bronze cars in there. But look, let's give it everything and see where we end up.
Oh, good luck.
Thank you.
So Cian Jewis, who was the British GT champion last year with Charles Dawson. If you think there's altitude in this Spa circuit, as Joe described, well, you can get even more altitude on the Ferris wheel. The fan zone, which has been fairly busy today, just gets busier and busier. There are concerts, there's the night pit walk, there's even a night track walk as well for the fans. Hopefully they complete the lap before we go green again tomorrow morning, because it is quite a brutal lap in these temperatures. And as you can see, clothing is optional in the grandstand. It is that kind of temperature. The great thing about this is, though, that there are so many fans. Every year we come here and it gets busier, partly in terms of the infrastructure to the event, partly the crowds just getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the while for GT World. So we've got cars then in the pit lane, which includes there one of the GT4 BMWs that has just been brought back. That car from the earlier free practice session of Paolo and Davide Meloni has clearly had a drama. So as far as we know, good to start on time. The road is clear, but the teams will want that out of their way. Fans there with their copy of the official programme in hand, 4 different covers to the programme. You can pick your choice of which programme you would like. Or you buy all 4 for the programme covered. Let's get to the pit lane again. Bryn has caught up with another star of the race, it's Jules Gounon.
Jules, we've been talking to many drivers about the conditions out there, very slippery because of the temperature. It's dropped a fair bit. Now that should mean that a world of possibilities is open to you.
Yeah, let's see. We have been trying to focus on the race, to be honest, especially this weekend. It's going to be 32 cars that's going into Super Pole, so you're trying to not focus as much in quali. You're trying to focus for the race, especially tomorrow, the new format also for Super Pole, which is introduced this year. So we have been trying a lot of different things, and we try something else for quali, and hopefully in night practice we can settle to something we like.
A lot of experience, though, within your team. Chris won, in fact, gold last year in this particular race. I know that you've been successful as well. So what do you do about, how you approach this one with everything that can go right and wrong in the Spa 24?
Yeah, it's for me definitely the hardest GT race in the world. You have over 70 cars with all the top GT drivers in the world, and the teams are super competitive, the brain's super competitive. All the cars are within very small gaps. So in order to win this race, you need a lot of parameters to do right. You need the reliability of the car, the performance of the car, of your teammate, of your team, not make an issue in the pit stop, to not get any penalty, any contact. So it's so much variable that it's my 10th edition. I had the chance to win it twice, but I had many times where I thought we could get it, and actually you don't get it. So every year you come back, and it's getting harder and harder every year, and this year definitely it's going to be hard again.
All the things you need, plus a little bit of luck. Good luck.
Always. Thank you.
Yeah, Jules Gounon's won this event twice. That kind of takes some of the pressure off. Of course, he'd like to win, but he's already won it. He knows he can do it.
Yeah, he's got no monkey to get off his back, as he's been there, done it, and just needs to make it a hat-trick then. And the Marshals have worked hard today, luckily in the shade now.
British Marshals, I Spa. There's a Knock Hill sticker on the ice box there, and we know that British marshals do come here. I don't know how many Belgians go marshalling at Knock Hill, so I'm assuming it's the other way of traffic. Fans in the grandstands, fans on the banking out in the woods. There's a huge array of different places to watch the cars from around the Spa circuit. There is the Contiu, Marcello Tomassoni, Aaron Muss, Carl Marcelli, Felice Gialmini, Aston Martin. It is going to be Marcello Tomassoni to take it out first, the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil winner back from 2023. We saw him last year in the BMW. And if you haven't got a chair, well, you bring your hammock. He's always the enterprising fan to find somewhere to watch. To come back to the point, though, it is fabulous to see, isn't it? Whatever we're at now, nearly 7:45, so many people on a Thursday crammed into the place. It'll just get busier and busier. I mean, on Saturday for the start, this place will be rammed. But even today, it's been really busy. We've had school visits here, encouraging the next generation of GT fan. It's been great to see.
Yeah, we had over 100,000 spectators, didn't we, over the weekend last year? It looks like it's going to break that one as well. Busy pit lane, isn't it? There's only half of it.
Yeah, exactly. So we combine the two as ever. This is your F1 pits as the drone hovers over. You can see the Herbert Run Porsches, the Dynamic Porsche, the Rutronic Porsche and Lamborghini. Then you start to get down to Get Speed's Mercedes, and you keep on going past Boots and VDS and 2Cs, and then Paradigm, and then Rover Racing, and then Century, and then WRT's BMWs at the exit of the F1 pits. And to the other side of the hairpin, the endurance pits. This is it, on the banking, on the slope. More garages down there.
We're going to get the small violin out a lot for the drivers, the temperature. It's going to be tough for them, but the mechanics have got it 10 times worse. They've got to be in the same overalls as a driver, but they're having to work on the car. I was in the garages before this session. The heat off the cars after FP2 was incredible. So it's going to be really hard work for every single member of these teams. And these are big operations now. Each car, on average, having 8 members of staff to run it. So an operation like WRT with 3 cars, the support around the scenes is insanely huge now.
You just saw the high-class racing Porsche going down the pit lane, ready for the start of the session. It's Caron Lee at the wheel of the car, the IGTC independent leader. 33 doesn't want to go. Does now. That's the Scott Noble, Lewis Williamson, Jason Hart, Aaron Walker Mercedes. Aaron was here last week in British GT.
It's the last thing you want to do as a driver. It's the last time you've got the chance to prove to your car controller, you can trust me. Find me a small space in the pit lane, I'll get there. And then you stall. There you can see the Ferrari blasting away nice and cleanly.
Fred Makovici is a very welcome addition to the Porsche ranks this weekend for the Schumacher CLRT team, and Gwenelle Longy is with him.
Fred Makovici back in the GT car for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa this week. How long since you didn't drive a GT car, a Porsche GT3R?
Yeah, I mean, since 2 years. Last time I drove a GT car was here in 2024 with Mathieu and Matt. That's why I kept the same team, one of my same teammates, a car which I know quite well. That's why I was not totally lost at the beginning.
What a driver lineup in this number 22 Porsche this week. Last year the team wasn't lucky in the race. What are your expectations for sure fighting for the overall win and maybe the pole position tonight?
I mean, I think it's to build up confidence and working all together. When Com called me, and the main goal was to say, okay, now, I mean, we know we have the strong package, we know we can be fast, but we never went over the night. That's why now we want to go over the night, and at the end, you know how it's Spa. I mean, if the car is in a decent shape and you are on early morning on Sunday, there is possibility to do a good result.
Just a few words about the conditions. Now it's getting a little bit cooler as the quali session is about to start.
I mean, to be honest, it was quite extreme, you know. Also for the car, for everything, you know, it's quite tough. For the driver, it's not too bad, you know, since we have the AC at the start of my career, we could get until, I would say, 70 in the cockpit. Here now it's quite comfortable, but for sure for the car, it's a little bit cooler and we will have a little bit more fun.
Good luck in this session. Thank you.
Fred Makovici just touching on that point about air conditioning. There is a regulation temperature. If we get to that, race control can recommend that the teams use the AC system, some sort of cooling system as we go green. But that's going to be decided upon tomorrow by the technical team. They'll have a look at the data coming back from the cars and track temperature and ambient temperature, and then decide. It's not a race director thing, it's a recommendation from the technical crew, and then race control will say, okay, we advise that you do now use your AC, but of course the teams won't want to because it might drain power.
Yeah, it's a hard rule to enforce, isn't it? And when it's a recommendation, teams will not listen if it's performance hurting, to put it that way.
But the temperature is going to be a really important part of this race, because let's take a bronze driver as an example. They may not want to drive at night, but that's the ideal temperature for them to drive in. But if the temperatures are so hot, you can't really risk a driver doing a double stint, or certainly not a triple. You might need to keep your bronze for Sunday and therefore give the quicker drivers some time off. So normal run plans here of driver rotation may be going out of the window.
Yeah, they're going to have to be fluid as well, as the fluids aren't in the drivers. That's going to be the problem. The cars all have a drink system, and it can be up to 2.5 litres of fluid on board, which gets changed every 60 to 65 minutes. But that gets so warm that they're never cool. It's like drinking your worst cup of tea you've ever had in your life, and you've got to force yourself to drink it, because before long you're dehydrated, you start to get pins and needles. I've had it before where I've got so hot and so I started to hallucinate, and you think you're driving very well, but you watch it back and you realise how close you were to crashing.
So this is our first group coming out for our first part of Q1. As we've been saying, we've got the entry split. Why is it split? Well, it's really to give people a bit of clear track space, really. What we don't want are cars tripping over themselves. You throw all 69 out for a qualifying session, it just becomes manic. So at least this way, there's a bit of breathing space. They understand what the track is like when everybody can go out, because they've done that through the test and then free practice. But at least now, if you stagger it right, you've got a chance of a clear lap.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look like these guys are doing a mega job, if I'm honest, at finding space. You want to be able to have 10 to 15 lengths. You see the Sentry car just squeezing past the 2Cs car, but there isn't much space there. I'm surprised they haven't backed up more. I expect the tyres to be ready to go on this first push lap. As you can see, the Razzoon Moore Racing Porsche got some good space, but these 5 cars, I think, got a chance of tripping over themselves. The Corvette is the worst placed one. I think that must have got lunged by the Sentry car right at the last corner.
Yeah, Callum Williams in the Century BMW. There is 93 Porsche, which is going to be Eddie Cheever, interestingly, going out first. But again, what do? Do you keep your bronze driver for the end when it's a bit cooler and it's a bit more user-friendly, or, well, this is what the team has decided to do. Eddie Cheever in the Ziggo Tempesta Porsche. It's a Herbert Motorsport run car, and you're on board with Eddie making the climb into the sunlight.
If heaven looks better than this, I don't believe it. A flat 6 Porsche, Kemmel Straight, Sunshine, Spark 24s. Where's he going to brake? Start the curb just after. This is late on the brakes. Rolls third gear, snap of oversteer. That's hurt him now into the left, which then hurts you into the right. Sequence of corners, one mistake lives with you. Missed the apex at 7 as well. This hasn't been a great start to sector 2. He now needs to steady the ship. Drivers will even make the call halfway around the lap to bail out of it, look after the tyre and go for another push the lap after.
Down towards Speaker's Corner. Eddie Cheever having to fight the car. Third gear, back on the power, runs it up the curb a little bit. Grabs 4th, heading down towards Poor.
You can see, interestingly, on the dash, the time diff is learning, so they've cleared their delta from any previous knowledge. Eddie's having to do this on feel, and maybe the engineer telling him on the radio it's not a mega sector 1 that we've got come up, and we're really struggling. Look at the steering wheel, all the micro adjustments. He's not got the car underneath him, and I don't think that's a car thing. I think that's temperature.
Yeah, I was going to say, we heard people in FP2 earlier on in the day talking about how slippery the circuit was, how little grip there was, and Eddie Cheever is having to work this car incredibly hard. It almost sounds flippant for a non-driver to say he's missing apices, but he's really struggling to get the car to turn in and get the car to bite.
Yes, it's high on fuel because it's got to do 4 quali sessions, so it's probably got 60 kilos in, but this looks like an end of double stint on the tyres. This is hard work for the drivers. My fear is we're going to have a lot of spins because these are not easy cars to drive, but it's really going to show us who's got the best car underneath them and who can draw it out of that car.
And Eddie Cheever is no mug. You know, you're not watching a rookie here. Eddie has done a lot of racing. He's perhaps a Ferrari specialist, but he's a versatile GT driver. But that looked like a horrible lap that he'll be glad to get rid of. But, you know, come the race, he's got a whole stint of those, plus.
Yeah, and he's lost the lap to a track limit as well, so...
insult to injury.
Bad to us, and the push, so we know the next lap the tyre is already probably over temperature and potentially pressure as well. At the moment, the time's 19.1 is pole, our fastest so far from the Paradigm BMW, as another gaggle of cars get ready for a push.
I should know the answer to this, and I think we had it last week for British, but if you exceed track limits at the chicane and you lose that lap, you also lose the next one, correct? Because you gain an advantage.
Exactly that, yeah.
So it's 2 laps.
It's a sim racing hack. We didn't used to have it back in the day. And the sim guys realised that you got a penalty, but it didn't hurt your next lap. So, yeah, it's 2 laps for the price of 1.
Right, OK, so bad news for Eddie Cheever. What does that do for times? Well, actually, at the moment, the fastest is the Paradigm 991 BMW, and it is Leighton Fowry, at the wheel of it, Leighton Fowry, who is the current ADAC GT, the German GT Championship leader. He's been a BMW M2 Cup champion. There is Leighton Fowry. Last minute call from Paradigm's Darren Lung to put him into the car. Fair play to Darren. He cycles through lots of possible young guns. We've seen Ash Sutton, we've seen Bobby Thompson, we're now seeing Leighton Fowry. You've got, dare one call him an old pro, of David Pittard joining the crew. James Kellett is another driver that's a young gun, and Darren has picked him out of Ginetta Racing and Carrera Cup Racing, and he's really fitted in nicely at Paradigm.
Yeah, he's a good guy, Darren Lung, to have in motorsport, like for the reasons you've said, but also the whole team. He's built that team along with Simon Traves and has really got a load of good talent there. And yeah, he's a nice guy to boot. I've got a lot of time for Darren, and hopefully they have a strong run this weekend. At the moment, it's started as well as it could have, potentially getting a nice tow as well from the Century car, just ahead of Callum Williams. But Alex Fontana there, fastest out of anyone in Sector 2 in the Porsche, which I think was just coming into shot now.
Here it is, Alex Fontana then with that absolute best in the middle. There's another massively experienced driver, Alex Fontana, initially a single-seater racer. He was a Euro Formula 3 champion. He's been a Silver Cup winner in the old days of the Blancpain Endurance Series. He's a China GT4 champion, you name it. Up to the line comes Leighton Fowry. Marvin Dean's going well in the rebuilt Winwood car. That's 177, which is yet another of the Mercedes. It's a guest, if you like, in the Pro-Am class. Pro-Am only really exists here, and this is the Adam Christodoulou, Colin Carasani, Alfredo Hernandez, Stefan Tribodini entry. And looking to see who's been put into it first, it is Alfredo Hernandez Ortega. Right, that's Dienst with 004 on the Lumi rank, says 4th in the times, and he's heading up towards the end of the lap, but he's got a bit stuck behind that Porsche. He's got very stuck behind the Porsche and nearly hits the Porsche.
Yeah, his second sector was bad, so he's cleared the Porsche. Expect him to back up now to try and get the next lap clear. So that was the best possible chance for pole that lap. Look at him opening up that last corner, but the tyres now falling away as we look at the Kessel Ferrari.
Yeah, that was Ralph Bowen in the Porsche, and it was nearly a buried bone because that was very close indeed to making contact. Dustin Blackner then, 7th in the times currently in the Kessel Run car. This is the view coming out of Blanchimont. He's still climbing at this point, all the way up towards the chicane. Stand on the brakes, down through the gears.
Stop well, you can hear it locking the rear axle, the revs going up and down, goes in slightly deep, then gets the curb on the left as well for good measure. Scrappy sector 3, is he going to improve? He does, up to 6th.
It's a big chicane in a sense, isn't it? It's not a flick. You know, it's a discernible right and then a discernible left. It seems to take a long time sometimes on an onboard to get through the chicane.
Yeah, you could almost stop a bus there. It's so big, you could say. The onboard camera, the rear view camera, sorry, going off there actually. So that could be an annoyance that I need to check. You can see the radar picking up the pit wall. He was so close to it. Can we improve anything for this 991 Porsche? It's green sector 1. We're about to see what sector 2 is as he comes through that final part. It's not an improvement, but it's in the window, 4/10 down. So if he gets a clean sector 3, this could be okay. But interesting, look at the Century BMW. That's plugged away and pulled the gap. So at the moment, it looks like the 991 has probably done its tyres and it's going to struggle to improve.
Yeah, Leighton Fowry looks like he's backed out of it, doesn't he? Callum Williams ahead, the Australian. Good to have him back into the championship this year, the UK-based Aussie. Right, is Leighton Fowry going to stay out? He is. You question why, in a sense, because if you are not going to improve, what are you doing other than taking life out of the tyres? Over the line he goes, and that is a slower lap than he had achieved. Fastest remains Alex Fontana. Leighton Fowry, though, is second now. And Marvin Deans still fourth, and bearing in mind this is meant to be split so you get clear track space, he's absolutely stuck behind that 177 Mercedes.
It seems like most teams have put their bronze drivers in, and that's hurt teams that have put their fast drivers in, and that's Marvin Dean's proven it. Deja vu, purple sector 1 like the last lap, and over 2 seconds lost in that middle sector. So he has had a horrible 2 laps, and at the moment 4th place sounds okay, but remember this is all about average. So when he's not able to deliver, I think, as much as 0.8 of a second of what he's done, this is going to hurt the rest of the team as he boxes after, I think, what will be a very frustrating last 2 laps.
Now, what can Dustin Blackner do in 74 Ferrari? He's only 11th at the moment. Dustin, actually, we normally talk about being one of the shiniest bronzes, but, of course, this isn't a bronze driver-only session, is it? As you've seen, you can be in the Bronze Cup, but the car only needs 1 bronze driver in the entries, so that's why you've got some bronzes up against higher graded drivers, although Dustin has done a massive amount of mileage in a really short space of time. He's only been racing for about 3 seasons, comes up towards the timing beam, gains a place, goes 10th, and that was actually a good lap, 3 greens.
Yeah, only 1.6 off Fontana, so that backs up that element. And we know we've got a bronze graded driver in front in the car collection Porsche. You see the purple light flashing there. All the bronze drivers, when they get in, that automatically turns on to let everyone know there's a bronze driver in that car. And you can see he's having to back off already in Trois Rouge. And I think this could be a chance to get around, but it's messy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And cars are going to be backing up behind us too soon.
And also, their session is almost done because the pit exit has gone green for Q1B. In other words, for the golds and silvers, these bronze and Pro-Am Cup cars will be heading for the pit lane, and the golds and the silvers will have the road to themselves. Here is 86 Porsche. This is the car of Kerong Lee, as I said earlier on. He's the man that leads IGTC Independent Cup within that championship. He was second in the Bathurst 12 Hours. He was the bronze winner there. And Kerong Lee, who we've seen in Europe racing in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, has quite an interesting lineup with him because he's got the very experienced and very quick Anders Fjordbach, and then Bob Yuan and Leo Yi, double GT World Challenge Asia champions. It's only in quotes, in the Pro-Am class, but if it keeps its nose clean, I reckon this car's on for a good result in the race.
Yeah, for sure, and that's the hard bit, is keeping your nose clean in this race. And the attrition rate was super high last year, and that's got to be the driver's focus, is get to the end of the 24 and then see where you're at.
There, going over the line was the Ferrari of Custodio Toledo. And look back, still the cars pour through. You can see the variety as well. We have Audi, Ferrari, BMW. That's the other Paradigm car, I think I'm right in saying, in the background, because as ever, Darren Lung's team has got 2. And now you've got the golds on track. So there, look, Adam Smalley coming towards us in one of the Optimum McLarens. Carrie Schreiner's Audi is on track as well. Now the road gets busy, but it also means that Eddie Cheever's session is at an end. He's going to have to pit, although he did get up to second behind Alex Fontana, and the gap nearly half a second.
Looks like he's pushing on at the moment, and he was at green, so I wonder if he snuck another lap in. But it looks like he's behind a car on his outlap. You can see the Mercedes weaving left to right. The Mercedes won't want to let him go. He also won't want to get done for impeding a lap. So the Mercedes in a rock and a hard place right now.
What a big wobble from the Bartone Get Speed Mercedes up the road, and that's absolutely ruined Cheever's lap because he's got absolutely nowhere to go, and he's quicker than that car that is in the way.
Yeah, it's galling to see. You're going to see sector 2 pop up now. I mean, 2.2 off maybe. 2.0, the lap's done.
Let me down there. Sorry. 2/10 out, Osborne, slipping out. Right, so Eddie Cheever, we think he's going to have to box anyway, but he might as well now because that lap's not going to do him any real good.
No, exactly that. Save the tyres. They've got to be used in the race, so why put another 7 kilometres on them?
And that Mercedes still looking nervous up the road ahead. There is 700, which is the Aston Martin of Comtieu. It's been sent out ready for its session. It's going to have Xavier Knauf behind the wheel, a very Belgian lineup in that car. Right, back on board as Dustin Blackner is coming out of Longchamp.
This Corvette sounds phenomenal, doesn't it? And this is our first flyer for Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim. And he's coming into the last corner. Bit of traffic in front, should be okay. Now we see it from the drone, it's the middle shot. So with the next car turning to left, we're actually boxing there. So he's finished his session, hasn't he? 2:23 was the best time for the 0 car.
I do like that shot looking down at the top of the chicane. That's lost its bus stop tag over the years because it is just a chicane these days. But in the old days, you would come towards the end of the lap. There was a left and a right and a short straight and a right and a left, and it brought you back out on the run to the last corner. And the name came from really the late Gordon Spice, who used to come and win the 24 Hours in Touring Car days here. And when he was asked by English journalist Bob Constanduris one year what he thought of the new chicane, Spice said, "It's dreadful, it's like a bus stop." And the name stuck. There then, Adam Smalley, Carrera Cup GB champion, a Silverhand winner in British GT, and, Salman Ovega in Adam Smalley's car, coming towards the right-hander of now the campus right-hander towards the Courbe Paul Frere. Oxman have got another really good lineup here for the classes. Good results could be on the way. And Ovega actually impressed in FP2, didn't he?
He really did. I was about to highlight that. 4th overall. He was the fastest car in this number 5 Optimum car, and it's looking like a strong lap at the moment. Same for Lawson as well in the 71 Danish AF course. Ferrari is going well behind him, and as he backed out of this lap, I think Ovega, not happy with the traffic situation, decided, to me, to get out of this one and get ready for another push. So I don't think this lap is actually going to be the one for him.
We don't see much of him in GT World Challenge Europe, but he is last year's ADAC GT champion. There is Conrad Larsson, whose father Ronnie Larsson was a Ferrari champion, and that's where Conrad has made his name, although he did come the single-seater route out of F4 initially. He was at Le Mans a couple of weeks ago. Like quite a good number on this grid, and indeed in the media room. Jim Pla doing good things, though, isn't he, in the 111 CSA Racing McLaren, absolute best middle sector. Interesting that they put Jim Pla in it first, but Larsson goes to the top of the times. That's Jim Pla. This is the car that he shares with Simon Gachet, Arthur Rougier, James Kell. That's a really good gold lineup. Yeah, it's been strong, hasn't it, at times, and across the line to go 3rd. So we have a Group B sandwich. It's 1st for Lawson, 3rd for Pla, and Fontana from that first session, still in 2nd overall. And the 2Cs Mercedes of Scott Noble, Lewis Williamson, Jason Hart, Aaron Walker, under investigation for a qualifying procedure infringement. Now, was that the car that we saw hesitate to get away?
Just looking.
One that stalled, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. You're correct.
Not sure that's the infringement, but
no, it was that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, unless it was something to do with that, we'll wait and see. But in the meanwhile, Ezequiel Perez Compact, the indefatigable, has gone 4th. This is number 66 Audi, the car that won at Monza. It's got a very shuffled lineup for this weekend, and it adds GT4 racer Mark Kastelich to the lineup. Kastelich up to 13th. Remember now, we are blending together this batch of cars and the earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So we've only had 45 cars on track. Look at the amount of gravel there. Lawson, interestingly, purple sector 1, fastest there at the moment.
Yes, there's a lot of gravel on the road. The other question, though, is why? Who's brought it there? Yeah, absolutely. Because that is a horrible, dirty racetrack right now. 20 Mercedes AMG there with Levent Revesh behind the wheel. That's the Team Moto Park car that runs in silver. It's another Intercontinental GT Challenge entry. The Australian driver Christian Mansell, Rui Andrade, Yannick Mettler, the other drivers. That's another really interesting lineup.
Super strong, isn't it? Yeah. There isn't a weak link in there as Lawson continues to put a good lap in. At the moment, he's on a chance of a 2:17. Fastest at the moment is himself on a 2:18.5. What can the 20 Mercedes do? This is going to be pretty up there. A bit of oversteer out the last corner, rear tyre giving up. We're 11th at the moment. He crosses the line. He goes up to 9th.
Okay, and in the meantime, this is the Conrad Larsson Ferrari. So we've got Salman Ovega at the top of the times, but Larsson 2 personal bests, trying to narrow that margin. The gap is 0.133 of a second, and as Larsson comes up towards the line, he goes fastest of all then now on a 2:18.366. So Conrad Larsson to the top with an absolute best in that last sector. Jim Pla, in the meantime, with a rather snaking McLaren, comes up towards the line. 4th at the start of the lap, Jim Pla, and at the end of the lap, 4th is Jim Pla.
Yeah, it's him on the flashes to Bartone. Bartone had only just registered a lap. Remember, we saw him in front of Eddie Cheever. He's lost 3 laps to track limits. That's how easy it is around here at Spa. Listen to this V10 sing of the Audi. This is going to be a lap, isn't it? The Audi very quick in the speed traps, and that's why Sector 1 is purple. Has he gone in deep there? He has. So easy to do as a driver. You're looking at your Delta, thinking like you're a hero. You decide to get greedy, push a bit too hard into the final corner, and a mistake. Where's it going to go for Perez Compact? up to 5th. Good lap, but a lot of time lost in that sector 3.
Mark Kastelich, though, has done an absolute best and a personal best. And for somebody new to GT3 this year, that's pretty good. Danger of getting involved in a big shunt here, coming out of the chicane, because the McLaren almost tripping up the car as they break the beam, go up towards La Source now. Kastelich, 13th overall.
Last lap coming up, that time's disappeared quickly, hasn't it? So he starts this last lap compromised by the McLaren in front of him already. That will be frustrating. He'll hope that McLaren dives out of the way for him, but I don't think that will happen. Going
nicely here as well, the Greystone McLaren. Zach Meakin at the wheel of it. British GT4 class champion a couple of years back. Zach with Josh Rattican, Jaden Kelly, Tommy Pintos. It's another Silver Cup car. It's another really strong driver lineup, this.
Yeah, could be a boy band as well, the way they all look and go. So that will be a strong one. Hard to call who's the strongest driver out of the 4 as well. They're all equal.
Yeah, Tommy Pintos, McLaren champion. Jaden Kelly, McLaren champion. Josh Rattican, GT4 European Series champion. Zach Meakin, British GT4 champion. So it's a quality lineup for Greystone that's made that step up into GT World Challenge Europe this year, as well as running in McLaren Trophy, which runs here this weekend. And Zach Meakin, 7th in the times, is set to be an improver here, because as he comes now out of the chicane, the British-Ukrainian driver is heading for the timing line. 7th should be improved upon, and not quite. The lap time is slightly better, but it doesn't actually move him up the order.
Yeah, sector 3 went away from him. Checkered flag out for this session. I think that's just the story. The tyre seems to go away. Lawson in that Ferrari going into shot, finishes up 2nd, and it was Orega in the Optimum McLaren fastest overall at the moment by nearly half a second. That's an incredible lap by them. We didn't see it happening. We saw the end of a lap that looked strong, but McLaren seemed to have some pace here.
Yeah, and the other car of Adam Smalley ending up 10th in the times. This is the Loris Cabiru Porsche. Cabiru up to 3rd last time. Big slide coming out of Piff Paff there that hooks a wheel into the gravel, but you can tell he's trying.
Things on the limit, isn't it? And more. The problem here, as cars start to run wide, like we saw at the source, gravel gets drawn on. So last time round it might have been okay, but at the moment you've got 22, 23 cars circulating. The track's completely different every time you come round, and it's a leap of faith. 4th at the moment for the 54 Porsche. Looks like it's going to be a struggle to improve.
Down to 5th, because you've now got Adam Smalley up to 4th in the time. So Cabiru has been dropping. Ezekiel Perez Companc has gone 3rd. Adam Smalley has gone 4th. Good session this for Optimum, with cars 1st and 4th provisionally, as Cabiru doesn't finish the lap, goes to the pit lane.
So you would say this second session has been slightly quicker. It's hard to compare apples with apples, of course, but now they've got the top 5. It's looking like maybe the track getting cooler each time.
Yeah, you could argue that that should have been, because if they are silvers and golds, they're going to be quicker than the bronzes, but not every bronze car had its bronze driver in. So, as you say, it's hard to make a true comparison as the Dynamique Porsche arrives back. Loris Cabiru we've got used to seeing in GT4, where he's done good things, but for Optimum, a good session, and Salman Ovega there heading to the pit lane. And he comes. Oh, sorry, that's the sister car, isn't it? That's the... No, they've already changed the Lumi rank. Get it right, to Dante Raponge. He'll go next, so they've already tweaked that in anticipation of the next driver. Nifty.
Yeah, you shouldn't really do it before pit entry because of the reason you've just alluded to. It confuses the timing, so the actual driver in will be Raponge rather than Orega. And Optimum will be mega happy there. Sean Goff's squad growing ever more with its results and confidence. And the setup again for these teams has just gone on such a high level of GT3 now.
So let's have a look then. The driver first named in that column is the one that you just seen set the time. Salman Ovega, the quickest from Conrad Lawson. Then Ezekiel Perez Companc, Adam Smalley, Loris Cabiru, Alex Fontana, Jim Plas, Zach Meakin, Eddie Cheever round out the 10. The best silver entry then, Salman Ovega. The best gold, Conrad Lawson. The best bronze, Alex Fontana. And there's also the best of the Pro-Ams to be found a bit further back, 33rd, Custodio Toledo. So good effort by Alex Fontana, topping bronze, although he is certainly not a bronze graded driver, very experienced, very rapid single-seater driver. Salman Ovega then the best outright and topping silver for Optimum. And there's confirmation, Custodio Toledo ahead in Pro-Am. Good combination that with Peter Dempsey, Mathieu Vazevier and Le Mans winner Miguel Molina. That is quite a Ferrari. So one to watch, I think, if they can work the drive time of Custodio Toledo to good effect. That could be there or thereabouts. Peter Dempsey, who's had a second coming really after a few years away, being plucked back as a silver and doing great things in the World Endurance Championship in his first time in the Spa 24, first time in GT World Challenge Europe. So 45 cars of our 69 have been seen, and if you therefore think that the remainder are all pros, that gives us an awful lot to look forward to. The one car I'm still fearful of is that Tsunami RT Porsche number 78 that I don't think we saw in FP2, and I'm not convinced has been out in this session either, but we'll double check.
Just looking at some of the gaps at the bottom, like 12 and 14 seconds, for example, is that drivers losing all their laps, do you think? Because we don't see gaps that big down the field. So I almost think that's like an in-lap that's been given or something, because yeah, the quality of drivers, we don't have drivers that are 14 seconds off the pace.
Well, let's hear from Alex Fontana, because that was a very good effort in the Porsche, and Ganel is with him.
Alex Fontana, quickest driver in the Bronze Cup in this first part of quali. Could you talk us through this session for you?
Yeah, it was quite challenging, the high temperature since 2 weeks now here in Spa. So the car balance compared to the previous Spa 24 that I've been in is for sure a bit different. We tried to compromise from a setup that was drivable also for the non-professional drivers in our car, because at the end we are bronze cars and we need to think not only overhaul, but to make a car that is safe and consistent so that they can try multiple laps in their very short qualifying. It was an okay lap, not excellent I would say, so compared as well to Group B. Overall we are not quite there, but it was good enough for bronze, and I think for our way of thinking about the race, I think it's fine.
Thanks a lot, Alex. Thank you.
Alex Fontana then walks away, and this is his car leaping over the curb, coming into the chicane and riding it pretty well. That now the best of silvers was Salman Ovega. Really good effort by the German driver. He's with Bryn Lucas down in the pit lane, reflecting on the top time.
It's the perfect way to start the qualifying session, isn't it, really, with what you were able to deliver out there?
Yeah, I mean, a big thank you to Optimum and McLaren for providing me with such a good car. Obviously today is not the most important day, but it's the right step in the right direction, and hopefully we'll also be as successful on Sunday.
Very best of luck.
Thank you.
Salman Ovega, as I say, a welcome addition to the ranks, and for Optimum, good effort. So 2:17 is the current time to beat, and now, of course, as we get into Q2, we start to combine and then average out the times, and ultimately we are looking for the fastest 32 to get into Superpole. So 87 now is this time not messing about. Gabriele Piana at the wheel, and compromised by traffic last time. They want a clear ride in Q2.
So what will happen is they'll get cars coming out of the pit lane in front of them, and
Exactly.
that's the problem. You go early, you can get cars then on their outlaps, and actually we've got a huge amount of space at the moment. Next car up the road is the 56 car, and that's just at Le Combe there. You can see the Acura Cost Blackthorn car, so hopefully for Winwood's sake they get a clear run after what was a tough break for them last time out at Monza.
Absolutely, when that car was absolutely drilled, wasn't it, by a flying Porsche. I mean, you just couldn't make that race up, but it was certainly spectacular. The number of views it's got on YouTube has been quite staggering. I don't think I've ever had as many people ask me about the GT race as they did after Monza. Probably you're the same. There, 87, that was with you not being in the accidents. There's 87 then down the hill. Marvin Dean's giving way to Gabriele Piana, who's, as ever, on double duty, GT4 races as well as GT3. And he does make that adaptation very effectively, in fairness.
He gets both this car and the BMW to play a good tune, doesn't he? And that's not easy, because they're very different cars, in all fairness, for him. And yeah, I have to say, after Monza, I thought Renat Salikov, the bronze-graded driver in that car, had a phenomenal stint. And when the B-pillar result came out, he was right in the mix of the silvers. So hopefully, for one of the smiliest men in the GT World Challenge paddock, he has the similar result. And at the moment, Piana's sector 1 purple, of course, because he's the first guy to break the beams. It's looking okay. It's not ballistic sector 1. It's a good sector 2.
That B pillar, just to explain, is a PDF that you can get, and it analyses all the lap times of the drivers and puts that into an order, so you can see where you are not only against your class opposition, but in the grand scheme of things in terms of your best race lap. And it always is a good read. Depressing sometimes maybe for a driver, but it's an interesting read. Gabriele Piana then up towards the line, and let us see what this lap is going to be. The earlier times rather been dominated by Ferraris from the free practice sessions. Piana then over the line, goes quickest, 2:19.218, and the average is a 2:19.440.
Yeah, still a bit of time to find. It just didn't look like the car was turned on yet, so maybe they've gone lower on the pressures and temps just to give Piana a better chance of getting 3-4 flyers out of it as we look at this beautiful Ferrari. Peter Dempsey in it after a phenomenal Le Mans. He is one of the shiniest bronze-graded drivers, the bronze-graded drivers being the AMs, and he somehow got through that system up to 8th in this one. It's just hard for him to see where they're going to get to with all the cars around them at the moment. You can see, again, traffic being an issue for quite a few cars out there.
What you have in that timing tower on the side is the average. So that's the unofficial grid, whereas our timing screens in our booth are giving us the session, so we can kind of refer to both. This is Ben Tuck, whose lap is looking pretty good. Ben, looked after by Ollie Gavin, very, very rapid driver, has come out of the British Mazda MX-5 ranks, but is now very much a GT racing star and a really, really good silver.
Yeah, that thing's pinned. It was flat through Blanchimont. Didn't even have to use the exit curb. So Kessel have got this car in a lovely place. Looks easy to drive, and making it look seamlessly easy and very quick. An 18.8. So we've got to get into the 17s if we're to follow Q1B where the money was at.
So it goes up to second then. Third currently is the number 1, 2, 3 Porsche, which has now got Bailey Hall at the wheel of it, the Australian driver from Super Utes and Australian GT. But Ben Tuck has certainly not given up. If he can get another lap out of these tyres, he's going to go for it. And now makes that run up Radion then. He's heading towards the end of the first sector. This is Gabriele Piana, who is at the moment topping the times on the average as he comes up towards the chicane. And as the clock ticks on down, Piana knows he's got a limited number of laps available to him here. Comes, ooh, is that a track limit? Red flag, straight away we get a red flag. But that's bad news for Piana because, well, he's done the lap. He's been credited with it, but I think the red flag came out just before he got to the line. Anyway, the reason for it is that number 8 Porsche is in the gravel bed, as you can see, and I don't think Piana's going to be able to keep that lap, not for a track limit offence, but because this car has caused the red flag, and the red flag came out just before he got to the line, and I think there was contact here. You're not going to argue with me on the contact, are you?
No, I think it was the 999 Get Speed car, I think, sending it down the inside. And I think aboard that was Bruson. And I think it's going to be a penalty. It just wasn't alongside enough. It's difficult in qualifying because everyone is on it and you don't want to lift, but it just felt like a lunge, and the 8 car is well and truly beached.
It is. So that Porsche that was involved in an incident which it triggered in the earlier session. Reinhold Kran at the wheel, sitting in the gravel. Red flag shown. Now, I reckon there are 3 minutes of this part of the session to go, or 3 minutes and 6 seconds. So you could do an outlap and start a flyer, couldn't you?
Yeah, just so we should go green. I think we'll be given the rest of this session. Must have been so close with Piana getting across the line. I was trying to eyeball when the red came up and when that red went. So difficult one for them to call.
And if you're not interested in the action on track, there's plenty to do off track with concerts later in the weekend. But the rooftop party over the endurance pits has now started. So you can go and enjoy a drink, and you can look down on the pit lane as well and see what's going on. And the perfect soundtrack of 69 GT cars, GT3 cars. every year more and more effort is made for the fans. The grid seems to sort itself out. It's always big, it's always a popular race, but now for the fans, it's more than just watching GT cars.
Yeah. It's the only race where I didn't mind DNFing a bit early, because you could go and join in and at least transform what was going to be a good race into a good night, and goes well into the morning here as well. The amount of drink options the locals have provided is a very strong option.
Right, pit lane then fills up. You're right about 999. It was that emergency Mercedes that got caught up with 8, and it's already under investigation, that incident. So Jordan Boisson having been the aggressor. There is the Corvette of the Johor Motorsport Racing JMR team. The Princes, along with Ben Green and Jordan Love, brought in at the last minute to replace Afiq Yazid. 8 quickly out of the gravel and being chased by the intervention car, heading back to the pit lane.
My time to shine.
Yeah.
Pick up GT3, and good to see. You could hear the music from the rooftop party as we looked at that Corvette. Hard for the drivers sometimes to get in the zone when it is pumping. Is this another red flag cause not doing 80Ks? All cars, as soon as it goes red, have to do 80Ks. I quickly just reviewed the Mercedes finishing the lap, and it is within a metre or two whether he crossed the line before it went red. So at the moment, the lap has been credited to him.
Okay, so the in-car marshalling display would have just tripped on before it came onto our graphic by a split second, but Gabriele Piana still provisionally the fastest as the fans go and explore a different vantage point around Spa. And if you're at the rooftop bar at the pit inn, this is your view looking down onto the cars coming down the pit lane. And there is the offending Porsche, which makes its way in. That's the car that's triggered the red flag. Right, let us get back to the pit lane. Later on, we're going to see the number 50 Ferrari, of which Arthur Leclerc is one of the drivers. He's with Bryn.
Well, the Ferraris have been looking really, really rapid out there, Arthur, and you've the track temperature's dropped. We know it was tricky, everyone has been pushing, but the Ferrari seems to be one of the best placed cars.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm quite used to this championship. Free practice doesn't mean much. In the team, we are focused on ourselves, we are pushing, and just focus on the balance. Then the position in the standing doesn't mean much at the moment, so we obviously wait the qualifying.
Like you say, you've been in this for quite some time, you know the game very well, but being through into Superpole tomorrow, presumably that's the minimum that you can expect.
Yeah, of course, the target is to qualify for Superpole, and of course to do the best qualifying as possible, because to start in front there is so many cars that it can only help. So yeah, we'll try to do our best with Sean and Lilou to do the best position we can.
And you're not even sweating, go and relax. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reinhold Kran's Porsche on its way back to the pit lane is under investigation for speeding under the red flag. That was your fear, because, Lord. Yes, well, that's a man with a sense of humour.
Reminds me, I got to text my wife.
Yeah, quite. There's always somebody you wish you'd not seen. The Porsche, as you were fearing, getting back in a hurry and going too quickly. Right, this is the normal person's grandstand. So, red flag still prevails. We should be in business fairly shortly, ready to get the session back underway. So, car out of gravel, track swept. There's no suggestion that it won't be restarted, so I'm assuming that it will go green, if only for one flying lap.
Yeah, and the session will go green at 2026, so still 2 minutes away, surprisingly. So maybe a chance for the marshals to sweep the track across the full 19 corners. Good opportunity there. Cars already making their way into the fast lane, though.
And we are 2 minutes away from the session resuming, so we've not lost too much time. Some teams might be grateful for this, because it's nudging us closer to a later time for later sessions, and therefore it might be a bit cooler. So door open on the Paradigm BMW, the second of the two Paradigm cars, which has got now Yot Rapinge behind the wheel for the second part of qualifying. But the red lights are still on, and the session's going to go green in about a minute and a half's time. So although we've been hearing from drivers all over the last few days about how hot it is and how hot and hard a race it's going to be, now there's a story that there's going to be a mega storm on Saturday night, which might make things lively, interesting, cooling. You never know. But let's see whether that actually happens, and indeed how the track copes with the rain if it does come.
Yeah, and the reason we get that is it's a microclimate here, isn't it? And all the trees and the moisture kept there. And it generates what I'm told is an orographic lift. So that's where the...
A what?
Orographic lift in the Ardennes.
Is that a lift that plays music? Or something?
Exactly. It's the warm, wet air masses.
He's reading this out, everybody.
How do you guess? Hit the sudden rising terrain of the valley. And because it is so vast, it can create its own weather system effectively. So apologies if that's incorrect, but that was my research I did on why we get Spa weather.
And we'll be going back for more weather with Joe later in the programme. Right, the session is imminent as the queue builds, including, look, Gabriele Piana eager to get back out just in case that lap doesn't stand. He wants to go and have one last shot at it. Ferrari number 60 next in the queue. And young fans getting into the spirit of things in the rooftop party meanwhile. Well, they're doing this with the Paradigm team below them. Let's get back to the pit lane. We're about to go green, I think. Yes, we are. The green lights are on at the end of the pit lane. But Gwenel has now found a double winner of the event, Marcus Winkelhock. Let's hear from them as the cars rumble back out on track here at Spa.
Marcus Winkelhock, two times winner here at the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Happy to be back here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the biggest GT3 event all over the world, and it's always nice to be in this fantastic track with so many cars and track. It's tough competition here every year, almost getting more and more. And no, I love it. As I said, I won this race twice in my life, so I have good memories coming here, and especially with this weather. Maybe it's a little bit too hot already, but I think we should not complain. It was now cold enough for the last half year, so I'm happy to be here with nice weather. And I think the fans, they will have a good show on the weekend.
As you said, the competition is tough. Do you think you can get a third win here?
Let's see. You know, I think we have a good lineup. We have still a good car. Maybe it's one of the oldest cars actually in the field, but you know, I think everything is possible. The car is very reliable, and yeah, never say no.
Good luck.
Yeah, Marcus Winkelhock, a winner in 2014, and in 2017 he won again, that time with Christopher Husser, who he shares with here. Now this, leaving the pit lane, is the Ben Tuck Ferrari getting ahead of number 70. That I would have thought was an absolute no-no.
Yeah, it was nip and tuck, wasn't it? And it was Dempsey in front. Was he slow to release the limiter? They should go up to speed now. And I think Dempsey's just trying to find a bit of space. Is the limiter stuck on because his lights are still on? I mean,
that's going to get looked at, isn't it?
He doesn't go four wheels off the track because he's not on the track. He could maybe claim that Dempsey was going too slowly and he was going to go in the rear of him, but an odd one, and I've not seen it before.
Well, we understand it's okay. Play on, say race control. So Peter Dempsey seems to have got the car up to pace, and Ben Tuck pressing on. Absolutely no way. Right, so the session carries on, but it's almost at an end. And here, this scramble of cars coming up to try to get one flying lap, and over the timing line they go. There's your Tsunami Porsche, I think I'm right in saying, back out as the field comes to La Source onto effectively the last flying lap now.
And everyone was worried about not getting that lap in. Piana again has done well to get space as he thunders through the top of Radion down the Kemmel Straight. Sector 1 ideally is a high 39. That's the fastest we saw in Q1. He's about to break the beam now. What's it going to be? It's we don't know. It's a 9,000ths quicker though. So this is potentially going to be an improvement still for the 87 car.
Yeah, that was a 39.696 in the first sector, so it's a personal best. 39.5 is the best in that sector, so he's just slightly down on it. But Gabriele Piana now comes down the hill. The pit lane has gone green for Q2B, so as the dust settles from the car ahead, these cars will shortly have to box. They'll get this lap in, and then they'll have to pit, and the circuit gets busy for the golds and the silvers, and then, of course, he got the pros. Piana then, charging along. I notice in GT4 he's won all of his titles, but in a GT3 car, he is still a rapid driver. Maybe he doesn't have quite the pace that some of the Pro Cup car drivers do, but he's somebody that's always fast, doesn't make that many mistakes, and gradually now he's starting to prove to people that he can deliver in these cars just as well as he could in GT4.
Yeah, it's a cutthroat industry as well. If he wasn't doing a good job, he wouldn't be in this car year in, year out. It's a strong Sector 2 as well, so if he can have a mega Sector 3, this could be an improvement. This car fastest overall on the combined times at the moment. Piana second fastest in this session, nearly 4/10 off Ben Tuck, who is still the fastest in this session.
And Ben Tuck has just done an absolute best in the first sector, so I tell you what, it was worth restarting, wasn't it? Even if it's only for one lap. Piana might be an improver, Tuck might be an improver, and we go red again, and poor El Piana this time does not get the lap in, and that's going to be it as far as the bronzes and the Pro-Ams are concerned. A second red flag. Oh dear. Audi 28's already been in that gravel trap once today, and that looks like the Razzoon more than racing Porsche, and they have got themselves together, and this might take a bit of extricating. The cars hopefully aren't too badly damaged. They've not even got as far as the barrier, but they've had
No, I think the gravel trap marks are from where the Audi went off earlier. So what happens here? Porsche loses it by itself, and the Audi has nowhere to go. So quite an innocent, odd one in that regard. And the rear of the Porsche stepping out and almost blocking the Audi's path.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing to be investigated, but it doesn't help these two cars. And what do you say, David? Red flags breed red flags.
Yeah. We did we not, a BMW that put itself in the gravel earlier on and just drove straight out again, but the Porsche and the Audi seemingly don't have that same feature. Right, so back in, they all come, and Niels Vitic thinks dinner's going to be late, the race director having to call another red flag, and of course the clock stops. So the field down the pit lane. This is the frustration for teams that can't get into a rhythm, because, yeah, once the cycle is broken, it seems to keep being broken, as we say. Red flags or safety cars breed their brethren.
And the problem is with the split session, obviously the other two parts that aren't in this active session benefit, because it's been a negative. So when we combine the times at the end of all of this qualifying drama, the sessions that have had red flags get hurt more. So Ben Tuck, prime example, was on a purple Sector 1 and has now been hurt through no fault of his own twice now with 2 red flags. And sometimes I think maybe the splitting of the quali is hard to keep fair, as we look at the doctor looking nice and relaxed, speaking with his engineers, keeping an eye on where the pace is at, really. With it being so warm, it's quite hard for the engineers to predict what lap time is good enough for pole position.
You said there was nothing to investigate. Well, it's under investigation, that incident, but I think ultimately it will be judged just to be a racing incident. As you say, the Audi really had nowhere to go. The Porsche spun on its own, didn't it, from what we could see on that shot. So the Audi out of the gravel, and now, if you're a really savvy team manager, you will shout at your driver, keep below 80k.
Yeah, we've seen it twice already today with 2 opportunities. Porsche gets away from the scene quicker than the Audi, and you can still see cars circulating. I think Piana might come through shot next. Shows you how long it takes to do a lap at 80, and there is Piana.
But the interesting thing about that, you could, for example, if that happened in the race, you could possibly clear the road under a full course yellow, because that has taken a relatively little amount of time. You wouldn't necessarily have to keep going safety car.
No, and that, could be our short full course yellow, where we go straight back to green, and we go from there. The Porsche doing a good job going offline to get rid of all of the gravel that they have collected in the back of that thing.
So the Porsche heads back towards the pit lane. That was Kenzie Beecroft at the wheel, who's not done a huge amount of racing, so new to this. Ben Tuck has been a bit of a hero, hasn't he? He was fastest in that session, and the car's second on average. Bryn Lucas has found the young Brit. Let's hear from them.
Well, Ben, I know there's a bit of frustration from there. Every time you're putting things together, you got, kind of stopped in your tracks, although currently sitting in number 1 from the session.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. My first lap wasn't great, to be honest. I think everyone was improving on their second lap, but the tyres are definitely in the window on the second lap for us.
And yeah, everyone was improving in red flag, so I was really frustrated at myself at the first lap. Luckily, it was good enough compared to everyone else's first laps.
Is it the fact it's got a lot cooler outside actually that's helping with the track conditions and the cars, because we're seeing less sliding, maybe it seems to be coming back to people?
A little bit, but I think the tarmac is still quite hot. It's just been baking for days and days, so the track is quite slow compared to what we would expect for qualifying, I think.
And from this point on?
Well, we've got Super Silver Matisse and Dennis Marshall, the pro, so I mean, we're in pretty good hands there.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Pretty modest Paddock, but a very, very quick driver he is. And as a silver, you know, he absolutely fits into anything, and he flies, and he doesn't make mistakes. He was certainly helped in getting some of his drives by the enthusiasm and the support of John Hartshorne, another experienced British driver, but again, Oliver Gavin's management has helped to put him into different cars, but he's delivering.
Yep, he really is, and that's the wheel of fortune that follows you as a driver up the career path. And
how would you know?
I've seen others.
Oh, I've seen.
I've seen the other way go down.
A wheel of misfortune in your case, yeah. Right, so we're good to go. Now, 9:14 Porsche, Kenzie Beecroft, is causing the red flag, so therefore you lose the lap time.
Yeah, brutal on that car at the moment on an average of a 2:30 for reference. That's 11.2 seconds off pole.
Ed McDermott, one of the other drivers of that car, he went first. Ed, who's not raced in GT racing at this level, said to me last night, I must be mad doing this. I said, oh, you'll be fine. He said, yeah, everyone keeps telling me that. But a great enthusiast is Ed McDermott. We wish that car well. Right, there is the Sebastian Boe, Arthur Doris and Kirby Powell's Oliver Söderström Aston, which is ready to go for this session, and it's going to resume at 20:38, which is about 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes away. And Arthur Dorisson was at the wheel of that Aston Martin.
It's always interesting to see where they can filter in those cars at the end of pit lane. It's that motorway sort of roadworks, isn't it, where it filters down from 2 to 1, and the rule is you should merge in turn, you should go all the way to the end, and no one ever agrees. And you can see the car controller just trying to buy him a space.
Now, let's next go to the pit lane and find Romain Larue in the Écurie Écosse Aston. He's with Bryn Lucas.
We're not seeing times tumble, but we are seeing maybe more headway out on track, and you're currently seeing P4.
It's definitely cooling down from the very hot temperatures, so I think everything from now on is going to go a lot faster. We can already see it, gained half a second from Johnny, so it's just going to tumble down from now. I've never seen this hot temperatures in Spa, so yeah, it's definitely going to have to get used to it for the race, so it's a very different approach this year.
Just quickly give us a bit of an idea. I know you won't give me strategy, but I was talking to a few drivers saying, are we likely to see any triple stints? What do you think?
I think we're unlikely to see it. I think it's such a hard race already, even when it's not very hot. So I think we're going to go more for doubles all the way through, because it's easier on the drivers, and that's what makes the difference in the end. So, yeah.
First of all, qualify. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
So Romain Larue for Écurie Écosse Blackthorn. One quick bit of news, courtesy of Mercedes AMG. The 12 Get Speed Team Dubai Mercedes AMG, Gabriel Rindon, Tom Calendar, Mikael Grenier and Jared Wabeski, engine change. The analysis of the engine data and health parameters, you can tell I'm reading this, can't you, have triggered the decision for purely preventative reasons to change the engine. Green flag then, we are back in business for Q2B. Remember, we've got 4 elements to qualify, not the normal 3, because 4 drivers per car in the subclasses. We're back in business.
Here we go. Light starting to fade fast, shadows getting longer, and we're seeing some cars just ease out of pit lane. But a lot of drivers would have seen Ben Tuck's overtaking move earlier on, so if anyone gets too aggressive on the traffic gap opening, then maybe that will be an option. As we see the Rover team get to work bolting on a brand new set of Pirelli rubber.
Yeah, interesting to see the way that Ben was determined to overtake. He certainly wasn't going to tuck in, was he, and follow Peter Dempsey out of the pit lane. But for 998, that gets set to go. The Rover Racing BMW that comes here with another quality lineup. We'll see that when we get to the Pro Cup part of the qualifying session. Hugo de Wilde, Tim Tranmitz, Jens Klingman, the 3 drivers of that car. and a lot of weaving going on to try and A, get track position, and B, get some temperature into tyres. And all of a sudden it looks ever so crowded up at Les Cons.
It really does, doesn't it? It looks racy there, cars not wanting to lose position. This is where the good engineers get on the blower to the driver saying, gap is 6 cars behind. This is what you need to do, how much you need to drop. Look at the race between Optimum and RJN there, and the Optimum cars nearly came together. Jamie Wall, team manager down there, would have had his heart in his mouth at best. That looked like it was going to get pretty racy pretty fast.
Think back to Monza, how close RJN came to an outright win and a silver win as well. We were saying nice things about the team and about Bob Neville. Bob was watching at home. What we didn't realise was that he was getting over a broken leg. Well, the good news is he's back. He's in the pit lane and recovering well. But welcome back, Bob, and hopefully they'll have a good result here as well. Drivers visualising their lap before they are released from the pit lane, going through it in their brains, and having to cope with the party at the same time.
It's not the worst song to get ready for, is it? Yeah, some drivers like silence, and hopefully some like 90s dance music.
So into Q2B then, and there is Malte Ebdrup in the number 71 AF Corsa Run Ferrari, although it comes under the selected car racing banner. Frederick Schandorf, Simon Birch, who was a winner in GT2 last weekend, and Conrad Lawson, the other drivers, and we've seen how well Lawson went. So this car runs in gold, but could be there or thereabouts for a top 10.
Yeah, we saw that, didn't we, earlier in the season, especially when Schandorf gets in it. He is quick as anyone in a Ferrari at the moment, and interestingly here this weekend, not on IMSA duty, so showing you where the biggest GT3 race is this weekend.
Malte Ebdrup, who was last year's Danish touring car champion, TCR Denmark. Real change, isn't it, from a TCR front-wheel drive car to a GT3 Ferrari. But you've got to say, he acquitted himself pretty well at both Paul Ricard and Monza, and the selected car racing entered AF Corsa round. Ferrari drops down now towards Speaker's Corner.
Just feel the Ferrari is the best poised car. Every time we see it, the balance looks good. The Porsches look leery. The Mercedes has looked leery. We're hearing the BMW eating its front tyre quite quickly. I just think if it's going to be a hot race, it definitely looks like it's going to start hot. Will it finish hot is another matter. But this Ferrari across the board seems to stay in the window really nice.
Another car to watch is Mercedes AMG number 6. Aurelian Panis has taken that car out. So at the moment, in this part of qualifying, a 2:18.8 is what we're looking at. That's a Ben Tuck time, but on the average, it is 87 Mercedes, courtesy of Marvin Dienst and Gabriele Piana, that have done the better work. So Malte Ebdrup presses on, goes now into Blanchimont and heads towards the end of the lap. An absolute best sector doesn't really mean a great deal because we've had so few laps and so few cars through the sectors. So although it's tempting to get excited about, it's really in a few laps' time when we'll start to see those purples mean something.
Yeah, curb usage there. You can hear the splitter hit the deck, but it's the fastest way around the corner. Can they do that for 24 hours is a different matter, but qualifying isn't that important about the car. And an 18.5 there takes the car up to first overall.
Ebdrup's time of 2:18.5 against Ben Tuck's 2:18.8. Though that's interesting because you wouldn't say that Ben Tuck was slow, but Malte Ebdrup, less experienced GT3 driver, getting on with it pretty effectively. Now Aurelian Panis goes fastest of all, and he's into the 17s, a 2:17.671. That's good going.
Yeah.
And this is Tom Fleming, another very, very fast British driver who has done better times in the middle sector than anybody that's gone before him. So let's see where Fleming is going to put himself. We've got a 2:17.6 to beat. We've got the car coming now up towards the chicane. The Acuriacos Blackthorn Aston, we understand, has got an issue in the pit lane. Let's just get Fleming over the pit lane. Over the timing line. He then goes fastest. Tom Fleming to the top of the times on a 2:17.361, and the Aston has a motor issue overheating, but they can't open the car up to cool it down, Bryn Lucas is telling us, because it's under part Fairmay conditions, so they're just going to sit and wait before they can get the car fired up. Dylan Pereira across the timing line, and Pereira puts himself third in this session, second on average.
Yeah, McLaren's looking good as well now, aren't they, along with the Ferrari. Arthur Rouget taking that car up to fourth on the combined times. Second in this session, 10th and a half behind the other McLaren and Tom Fleming.
And Ugo de Wilde in 9.98, now on track. That car heading for the end of the lap. One of the cars in gold, but only running 3 drivers, which is unusual.
Yeah, especially in this heat. I think they might live to regret that, having to do the extra legwork.
I was about to say, has he slowed right down early coming up to La Source? He just looked slow there, but let's keep an eye to it. This is 25 Audi that we saw Ezequiel Perez Companc in. This is now Etienne Shelley, the son of former Formula 3 3000 racer Eric Shelley, and coming down towards Piff Paff. Now you've got the sun in your eyes as well. Just another problem of racing in a 24-hour race, qualifying in the fading light like this. The sun sitting in the driver's eyes, and that becomes another battle.
Yeah, you've got the tinted visor you could see reflecting back of Shelley, but it's not enough. It's only like wearing sunglasses, it doesn't block the sun. So you see quite a few drivers now running almost like a second visor strip along the bottom edge of the visor and using that like a peak of a cap to try and shade their eyes. It's a difficult one. There's obviously a lot of other things to focus on, but it is definitely an annoyance.
And in days of yore, when the Spa 24 Hours, for example, was a touring car race, you'd also see the rear windscreens with lots and lots of black tape to get rid of the glare of the lights in the mirror. But increasingly, of course, there's no rear window for many of the cars, and they have that rear camera rather than an actual physical mirror. Over the timing line goes Etienne Shelley, puts him up to 7th on the average. Tom Fleming then, still the fastest from Malte Ebdrup, Arthur Rougier, Aurélien Panish. Gilles Magnus is 5th and Dylan Pereira 6th in this session.
Fleming went faster again on his second lap, so he is really flying 2/10 quicker than the 71 car of Malte Ebdrup.
And this is Ariel Levi then, the Israeli driver, coming up towards the timing line. Very successful in Porsches, now in the Audi, and he's up to 13th on the average, and he's up to 7th in this session.
Interesting that Audi is so strong in Sector 1, isn't it? That's a common theme. So in the race, that could be a good strength to have for them to be able to overtake cars at the end of the Kemmel Straight.
Right, the fast lane is open now for Q2C. In other words, the Pro Cup cars. Our first look at those, and now we're going to start to see the time. So what are we thinking the best time of the night might be? Can we get into the 15s, or is that too much?
It's going to be real close. It depends how quickly the track temp drops. It's dropped 4.5 degrees in this first hour, and we haven't had the pros out yet, so that would be an interesting... I feel it's going to be a 16-2.
All right.
I just can't see a 15 unless we suddenly get track temp down from 38 degrees to low 30s.
So, very wide there goes Malte Ebdrup, absolutely on the limit, and he's down in the middle sector. Is he overdriving just a little bit? This car is going to be well placed on the average. It's one of the Gold Cup cars, remember, although Gilles Magnus has got up to 2nd on the average in the ever so unlucky Boutsen VDS number 10 Porsche that's had more hits than Elvis this year, and Ebdrup stays 3rd, a slower lap. This is Aurélien Panish in the very distinctive, almost sinister livery on the Bartone Get Speed car. Let's see what Panish can do then as he comes up towards the timing line. And 2:17.628, 4th fastest, but that's 9th on average. The drone hovering over the chicane. Some of the cars go for the pit lane. The drone crew, big hat tip early in the weekend. They produce some fantastic shots for us. Over the timing line come the rest of the golds and the silvers, ready to bail as the pros are ready to hit the track for the first time in qualifying.
So we'll see how well these gold-rated, silver-rated and bronze-graded drivers are going to stack up against the fast pro. The best drivers in the world. We see them racing every weekend. Even hypercar drivers now, GT3. It's quite easy to jump between the two, so it'll be interesting to see where those pros put the rest of these classes in their place.
Right, Dylan Pereira, good sector 1, not so good sector 2, goes across the line and ends up not improving in real terms. In fact, Ariel Levi, his teammate behind, did go slightly quicker on that last lap. Levi did a 2:17.757, and also looking good, Arthur Rougier, who's just gone up to 3rd within this session, and that puts 1:11.7 7th on average. And there, rarely, but a clear track, as some cars are heading for the pits and others are coming out onto the circuit, as I say, for the first time then in that Pro Cup. Their fast lane is open. They'll be released very, very shortly. And now the pit exit is green for Q2C. So there, the AF Corsa Ferraris. That is 34 Aston Martin coming now up towards the start of a flying lap.
Jamie Day aboard that, so he's got the best space, hasn't he? They got that car out very quickly. And I thought the ComTU guys would get theirs out quick with Nicky Team in the 007, but Vulcan has done a good job here.
That's another team in the bottom pits, isn't it? So perhaps that's an advantage, at least in releasing the cars, because when the fast lane is open, those at the top have still got a lot of driving to do. You're almost there at the end, ready for the lights. So Jamie Day onto a flying lap. First time we've seen the car this evening. And Jamie skims the curb. The Rover BMW emerges in front. Jamie on the lights to say, right, I'm on a push lap, get out of the way. And in fairness, the BMW does just that.
Really gets out of the way. You can see the dirt offline. Farfus being super fair in the Rover BMW. Very relaxed flash from the 34 Aston. Most teams able to program the lights to do what they want. And that was a polite reminder more from the headlights of, please move.
So Jamie Day up the curb. Augusto Farfus still getting himself ready. A prep lap coming out of the pit lane. So Jamie Day through Bruxelles, conscious that you've only really got 10 minutes in which to do the time. And it's going to get busy, that is for sure. So 2:17.1 is the best lap we've had so far. Tom Fleming, quickest driver that's hit the circuit this evening. Down towards Pouin comes Jamie Day. Through that long left of Pouin, ready to get back onto the power the other side of it. And again, he's got a charmed life in the way they've released the car. Although Ricardo Feller is up the road, he's probably not going to catch him for a couple of corners. And when he does, Feller will be quick anyway.
Yeah, the car looking okay. It's not lighting up the timing screens, unfortunately. And sometimes get that with a car. The balance is okay. It feels all right. It's just not fast. It's just not able to rotate and get round the corner as quickly as you want. But it's a good race car, and that is an important factor, of course, for 24 hours around Spa.
So here, Jamie Day comes towards the line. Mathieu Drudy is charging along behind him in number 7, or 007 if you prefer, for Aston Martin's marketing purposes. And let's see, first of all, what Jamie Day can do. His is going to be the opening salvo, but of course they will get quicker as they get through the session, as tyres get a little bit warmer and pressures change, and also the fuel load comes down a bit.
So the Pro get the advantage in the sense that there's only 3 laps to combine as the average. So the average is going to be just this solo session that the Pros are offering up in this part of qualifying.
Right, so Jamie Day goes 15th in the session, and that is a 2:18.617. There's plenty more to come, I would have thought, from the Pro Cup cars. That's not to have a go at Jamie, it's just that it's a start-up lap. Matthew Drudy's car looking a bit nervous there, wasn't it? Coming out of Piff Bavin, still a bit nervous. There's a lot of energy being put into that car down at campus, up towards Curb Paul Frere. But the winner of the event 2 years ago has done an absolute best within the middle sector. And this is looking pretty decent for the ComTU guys. Maxime Martin is aboard 17. Valentino Rossi is aboard number 46. As Mathieu Drudy here is going to be threatening that Tom Fleming time. A 2:17.196 is the best time that we've had within Q2. Here now into the chicane comes Drudy. Goes right up the curb. Will go left. Skims the curb, and as long as he doesn't go too wide, that's okay. He will come across the timing line, and we'll see where it's going to put the Italian driver. Mathieu Drudy goes fastest on a 2:17.134.
This could be a lap from Martin here. Can we get into the 2:16 club? He comes across the line. It's a 17.3, goes third on the 17 Get Speed car.
Maxime Martin, then another previous winner of this event. Valentino Rossi has just gone by, and Valley is 16th in the session. Yeah, Maxime Martin, winner this year, of course, of the Nürburgring 24 hours and the Bathurst 12 hours with Mara Engel, but now you split them apart. And it's been a great season for Maxime, although the blot on the copybook, that drama at Monza. And that's Jorovra now to the top of the times, a 2:17.012. That's 98 thousandths quicker than Lilou Wadou, who has gone second in number 50 Ferrari.
Yeah, Ferrari 1-2 then, it's good for them. BMW of Van der Linde up to 11th in this session. Still lacking a little bit. Here's Arjumani in the 64 pole sitting car last time out at Monza. What can they do? It looks like it's going to be a high 17. It's an 18.0, 15th for them.
Simon Reicher coming up towards the exit of the chicane in the number 84 Audi. He may not be the fastest of the 3 in that car, but he's a decent peddler, is Simon, having not been racing for that long, and he puts the car first up to 24th in the session. Then it drops to 21st on the average as others come through. Now, who have we got aboard? Number 3, Mercedes. That is Danny Honkedea for 2, in other words Q1 for this car, because it comes in only for 2, 3 and 4 rather than 1, 2 and 3. Hunkadea up towards the timing line, another very versatile racer from single-seaters to GT cars and hypercars too these days. And Hunkadea goes across the line, and that is 13th in the session and 10th on the average.
Yeah, he's 4/10 off Maxime Martin in a Mercedes as a reference. Lucas Aaron, another Mercedes, the Winwood Run man filter car. So strong in Sector 3, this Mercedes. What can he do? This could be a close one. A low 17 is on the money at the moment. 17-1, 5th for the 48.
As you look at Mathieu Drudy again, pressing on. So he's down to 3rd in the times, ahead of Joseph Loeb, but Drudy doing a good first sector on this lap, but his second sector not quite so hot. Let's see what he can do as he comes up towards the line. So Mathieu Drudy goes through, stays 3rd in this isolated part of qualifying. Maxime Martin 7th on the average, and he's coming up towards the line. Maxime Martin will go through and up to 3rd. Valentino Rossi has gone through as well, trying to improve in the BMW, and Franck Pereira in number 63 Lamborghini across the line. This, though, is Joseph Loeb, the Macclesfield driver. Only his 2nd year of GT racing, but he's looked the real deal.
Really has, hasn't he? Hasn't put a foot wrong. Looks like the tyres dropped off. He's 4 slower than his best previous as we look at the dominant Ferraris, 1st and 2nd, running in formation. Guven in the background, going to the line, goes to 9th, 17-5. As we go back to Kelvin van der Linde here. Not a great middle sector. What's the last sector? Big drop off, 11th for that car.
Luca Engschler up towards the line, number 96, the Rutronic Lamborghini. And this is the Mustang, number 64, grounding its way up towards the line. Arjun Maini, 10th quickest. Simon Reicher coming towards the chicane in the Audi, number 84. That car just seems to ride the curbs better than others.
Yeah, the body stays still. The wheels just pop up into the arches, don't they? Reicher pushes the line. This will be an improvement for him, I think. 22nd, 18.1. Fella in the line speed. Porsche up to 9th. And look at that, Porsche's 8th, 9th and 10th there.
But it's a Ferrari 1-2 on the session times. Rovera from Wadu. Mercedes AMG 3rd, Aston Martin 4th, McLaren 5th, and Mercedes AMG 6th. This is Danny Hunkadea coming then down into the chicane, the Red Bull sponsored 2C's run. The Verstappen Racing entered car, heading towards the timing beam. Danny Hunkadea goes through and improves on that lap. So that puts in 11th in the session, but 10th on the average.
Yeah, Drudy going again. Last time by, we saw him go into the final chicane as the checker flag is now out, and he went in a little bit deep. That's a telltale of the driver thinking the tyre's gone, and he's just got to throw a Hail Mary and hope for the best and see if it sticks. So this is where we went in a bit deep. Lap 1, he was all over the apex curb here at the right. Lap 2, we missed it. Lap 3, what's going to be his option? He goes in deep again. Maybe he didn't feel it rode the curb, or he feels like the lap wasn't an improvement, and he's going to box.
So down the pit lane comes 007, Mathieu Drudy done for this part of the session. And that car will be given over next to Marco Sorensen. They're keeping Nicky Thiem in for the very end. So Mathieu Drudy, a good effort. Ricardo Feller, in the meantime, is still pressing on in the Porsche. Now, it's the second of the Porsches, because Maurice Schuring, the quick Dutch driver, is ahead of him. But Ricardo Feller, currently 9th in the session, is improving at least in Sector 1. And you see the natty lights that they've put on the side of the car. It's not just for us to recognise, but importantly, when it's night time, the pit crew need to know which set of lights coming down the pit lane is their car. So the more visual aids, so they can get the right car to the pit box, the better. Meanwhile, Arjun Maini here in the growling Mustang, heading to the chicane, Joe.
Yeah, one more break to go. Just seeing his dash, see the tyre temps. They've come up a long way, 91 degrees on the front right. So this car working its tyres hard. You can see the traction struggling out of the last corner, pushing to the line. It's going to be a 17-4, 10th for that 64 as we go back to the line speed Porsche Feller,
who's down in that middle sector. So Ricardo Feller coming up to take the checkered flag is 9th in... Oh, and he actually boxes. So he's realised on the Delta he's not going to be an improvement. So in he comes. Augusto Farfus, again, boxes. So he's not going to take the flag. He's done. And so also there, Jamie Day behind him. But Ferraris topped both free practice sessions earlier on in the day. And at the moment, fastest pair of cars. Got to say, Lila Wadu doing a very good job, because her time is only 98 thousandths down on Rovera.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal job from both of them. Well, I thought the Ferraris looked good, and at the moment they're converting that into strong pace, aren't they? And here is Lila Wadu on an in-lap, but chuck that in. It was almost a four-wheel drift on the way in. We thought the pros were going to shake up the story, weren't we? And at the moment, we've got 13 pros inside the top 15 and a few golds dotted in there. And there are 3 driver lineup gold crews as well, as having the advantage of the moment, only having 1 lap time to take into consideration.
So the last handful of cars come to the pit lane. We're already getting ready then for Q3A. Another 10 minutes afforded to the bronzes and the Pro-Ams.
So there's obviously a timing thing because this car's now flicked to Leclerc. So it's obviously premeditated. I was going back to Wadu. Last time I saw it, it had LEC in it. So just maybe it's when we saw it earlier on the Optimum car, maybe it wasn't a driver team issue, was all I was going to get at.
Yeah, perhaps if the timing screen resets,
I look like a liar now, don't I?
Changes to the driver. Yeah, nobody else saw it. Yeah. Anyway, Lilo Wadu comes to the pit lane, and any moment now, it's going to say Lek. Let's hear, though, from the man that is currently the fastest. It's Alessio Rovera, and he's down in the pit lane in the company of Bryn Lucas.
It's really important to start off qualifying in this sort of way, isn't it? Earlier on we were thinking the Ferraris were looking pretty good out there, and number 1 and number 2 so far.
Yeah, we look pretty competitive, I have to say. The car feels good, good balance. We work quite a lot on the setup because compared to Prologue now we had something like 20, 30 degrees more on the track, so the balance of the car was quite different, and I think we found a good compromise. As we know, in the 24 hour, the qualifying is 1% of the job, so yeah, we have to be prepared for the race.
It was a very good 1%, but what have you taken back in? What have you said to your teammates about what they can do? Where can they find extra pace?
Yeah, compared to free practice, the track is quite different. Was evolving quite a lot. FP1, there was a lot of grip. FP2 was poor grip, and now the grip is coming back, so it's quite difficult to judge, honestly, but I will try to explain to the other drivers.
Very best of luck.
Drivers looking hot and bothered. Bryn's looking a tad on the warm side as well, and we'll keep him walking up and down for another hour yet. Right, this is where we stand at the end of Q2, which is the first part of the session that's involved all the classes, and inevitably those out of the Pro Cup are, of course, now at the top of the times. Rovera, Wadu, Maxime Martin, your top 3. Mathieu Drudy, 4th. Joseph Loke, 5th. We've just gone green, ready to get Q3 underway. Lucas Sauer is 6th. And then Tom Fleming, the best of the gold, currently the best of the silvers. The efforts of Salman Vega and Dante Rapponge. So it's an interesting jumbled order as we can get back to the pit lane. We'll go to the endurance pits this time. That's where Comtiu is based. And Mathieu Drudy is standing by, ready to talk to Gwenel. You can have a quick look at the order. You can see the classes with now the way the bronzes and the silvers filter in now that we've had those Pro Cup cars into the mix. So 69 cars we have in the entry. Currently the Xavier Knauf, Greg Servet efforts have put another 700 as the best of the Pro-Am cars. And I promised you we'd hear from Mathieu Drudy. We can so now do. He's ready for us. And Gwenel Longy is in the endurance pits. Let's go and join the winner of 2 years ago.
Mathieu, P4 in this first session for you, just less than 2/10 off the quickest. Tell us through your session.
I mean, it's been positive. Of course, today the target is to go through the first 32 spots to go through to the Super Pole tomorrow. I mean, we are just focusing a lot on the race. I think everyone is really doing that also because tomorrow we're going to have only one set of tires for the Super Pole, so it's going to be important to have a consistent car and of course for the race as well. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. There is a bit less traffic this year. That is nice. I mean, you can focus a bit more on your car, on your lap, on your preparing your lap. That it's something that we never had before, so that's really good. Yeah, now is Marco and Nicky next in the car, and I'm sure we are doing a good job, and we try to keep the way.
You're a former winner at the Cross-Strike 24 Hours of Spa. You've got a lot of experience here. How hard is it to set the car up in these tough conditions this week?
It's super tough. I think it's a condition that we never had before. It's really, really hot. It's not difficult for the tires. It's gonna be a key to not overheat the tires during the race, especially when you're in traffic following other cars. But yeah, I mean, it's the same condition for everyone. For sure, some cars will be a bit better in these conditions, some a bit worse, but we are trying to focus on our own, trying to get the maximum we can and see where we are in the race.
Thank you, Mattia.
Matthew Drudi then for the ComTU team, as he says, Marco Sorensen and then Nicky Team will drive. So Q3A underway. There's number 8 Porsche then that we've already seen sitting in the gravel, but it's now got Nicola Schiro at the wheel. And the car back out again as the session is live. And the circuit starts to get busy. Renat Salikov look in the background in 87 Mercedes. And as drivers have been making the point, we've made the point as well, we're looking for the top 32 on the average to go through into Superpole tomorrow. We start with 32, we get down to 16, then 8, and then it's the last 4 that go into the final 4 minutes.
And now we're into the 3rd session for these cars. These drivers only affecting a 1/3 of that average. It's harder to lift them up the order, so we start to get a bit of intel on where those 32 places are going to go, aren't we? And some of the cars now seem to have their bronze drivers in. This will be when the track starts to speed up. We've lost another degree of track temp in the last 20 minutes, so it's falling away. No one in the 16s yet. It's still a 17-0 from Alessio Rivera at the moment, the fastest out of anyone.
Yeah, Ferrari's having a good day. Renat Salikov looking good then in the first sector, but it's so early in the session, that's not really a representative sector time yet. We need to see where that blends in a lap or two's time. So there the Car Collection Motorsport Porsche. Car Collection, we used to see running Audis, didn't we? But they've made that switch to the Porsche. And like many of the manufacturers, Porsche going all in here, entering all of its cars effectively for IGTC points. This runs out of Pro-Am, but for an overall position within the IGTC element of the race, could be a useful back raid for points. Intercontinental GT Challenge does have a Drivers' Championship. It does have an Independent Drivers' Championship, but it's very much about manufacturers as well, and many of them putting a huge stall on it. I think I'm right in saying we've got our biggest ever IGTC grid this weekend, and that's allowing for the fact that some manufacturers aren't within the IGTC element of the race. Right, Renat Salikov then does the target time, a 2:18. 8:12 on the average and a 2:18.5 in fact for Nicola Schiro. He's fractionally quicker. Who will we put in 74 for this part of the session? It is Mathieu Jaubert who's going to be one to watch.
Off the back of a phenomenal Le Mans performance, really surprised a lot of people with how fast he was in that hypercar, and a bit of understeer. You can see his white gloves putting a load of right-hand lock on into Stavolo. It's 2 purple sectors. The important bit of what are those sectors? This could be a pretty low 17 at the moment. No traffic to worry about in front of him either. This is looking really good for the 74 Kessel.
So Jaubert on a mission and quicker in those 2 sectors than anybody else thus far. Doesn't seem to have quite the same input into this as other cars did earlier on, so maybe if it's getting a little bit cooler, that's bringing some of the grip back. Down to first gear, look for the chicane, massive whack on the curb there, and Jaubert onto the power, heads up towards the line and ought to be able to go top then as he breaks the beam, and Jaubert does a 2:17.257 as the lap and a 2:18 on the average.
Look at this super slow-mo over that curb that we heard from the onboard, 2 wheels up in the air, and he'll want to hang it in the Louvre, those 3 purple sectors, and fastest in this session so far. This 74 car might be running in our bronze class, but I think this is going to be a strong car at the end of the race.
Fascinating fact 37, there aren't that many people in this entry that have come out of Caterham racing, but you've got 2 in the same team, Mathieu Jaubert and Ben Tuck, both ex-Caterham racers. Mathieu Jaubert, a French Caterham champion. This is Marvin Klein, who's another normally Porsche specialist, but in the Mercedes AMG, and he goes over the timing line to go second in the session on a 2:18.0, and that will bring that car a little bit further up the order on the average. Now, what's Nicola Schiro being able to do? This looks good as well, doesn't it? With an absolute best in the middle sector. Schiro, who is another former Formula 3 champion, going back to 2012. He was the Euro F3 Open title winner, and he comes up now towards the line. So Nicola Schiro goes through, and second fastest in the session, a 2:17.6. It's not a bad effort, that.
Really not. Salikov behind him, staying with him, again showing the pace of a bronze-graded driver on the top of his game, doing a mega job there as cars continue to filter through, trying to stay on the track out the last corner.
The Century BMW going through Pedro Ibrahim at the wheel. He was a spinner into the gravel earlier on in the day. And more of them come pouring out of the chicane as the clock ticks on down. Colin Carasani, a former silver champion within the Endurance Cup, comes out of the chicane also in 1:77, and the lap time that he does is a 2:18.3. That puts Carasani to 9th in the times now, but 11th on average. And the Razoon Porsche there seems to take a long time to get back towards the line.
Yeah, it's the shortest distance, but that was like it wasn't able to turn left, and it's not an aggressive curb, so assume that was intentional. But yeah, for sure, an odd way to push to the line there for the Porsche.
It's Carl Watanabe at the wheel of the car, the former WEC racer. Another twitch in the background from 1-2-3, I think that was, coming out of the chicane. Armand Frumal in the Porsche. And in the Corvette here, Jordan Love having a mighty go.
Just looks edgy, this car, doesn't it? Over the bumps, it looks stiff, unable to take it. Maxi Gott seems excited by it too, and it's an exciting way to warm up an already hot climate.
No, he's not moving, it's the cameraman that's jumping up and down. You were confused there. So the Corvette with the dust still settling from ahead of him. Jordan Love we saw in GT World Challenger a couple of seasons back, didn't we? And he had a really, really good run. Was for a time looked after by Mark Blundell, he may still be, and Jordan returning to European tracks, which is good to see. So out of Blanchimont he turns, road continues to climb. It's still a long run out of Blanchimont all the way up to the chicane. That camera angle certainly foreshortens it. Hard on the brakes, then down to first gear, go not up too much curb actually. Jordan Love then goes for the pit lane.
Yeah. I feel the driver should put an indicator on it. Really kind of throws your vision off, doesn't it, when you expect him to swing left for the final corner. And
is that what you used to say to the stewards when you collected somebody at the chicane? Yeah,
really surprised me.
Yeah. More flashing of lights as here Aaron Walker comes to the chicane. Helped a little bit maybe by knowledge of the circuit from last week. He was racing with Ian Logie in a 2Cs round Mercedes in the British GT 2-hour race, so you know, reasonable amount of track time afforded to him. We've just gone live for Q2B in a big moment. Whoa, look at that, skittering through the gravel and just about, I think, getting away with it was Tim Heinemann, number 60 Ferrari, the JMW car. That was quite a moment. Right, this is Michelle Gatting, not only a very rapid racer, but pretty decent commentator, as you may have heard at Le Mans. She's coming down towards Pouhon now.
Yeah, considering who she was having to work with as well. Job at Le Mans. You can see the time delta edging away from her at the moment, so we're 6 tenths now, 7 tenths down. You see the red bar as well. Car looking loose. This isn't the first Porsche we've seen struggling to give the driver confidence to carry more speed into the corners. This looks hard work. I hope for the Porsche teams this means they've got a quali set up, and this isn't the car they're going to have to race for 24 hours.
This is the Rutronic Run Porsche. So Michelle Gatting, Antares Au, Martin Rump, Sven Muller. Really good lineup of drivers this. It runs in bronze, but it's a very strong bronze car. So Michi has gone quicker in Sector 1, down a little bit in Sector 2. And through Blanchimont she comes then now. So let's see where this is going to blend in. It is still Mathis Jobert at the top of the times of the session in isolation and on the average. Michelle Gatting goes right, goes left, first gear, back on the power. Very much a Porsche specialist these days, although she has been a Ferrari champion in the European Series over the timing line, but that's not that stellar on the average at the minute, is it? Long way back.
Yeah, 19.6 for her. It's a lovely dash on the Porsche, isn't it? Super simple. Got all the numbers you need. Big number in the middle is the gear. The smaller numbers, the speed above it. Then you've got your lap time and delta either side. Tyre pressures below in the 1.7 region. So they're keeping the pressures low. Are we flat? It's quite a big lift through there, and you can see the wheel working. The confidence not there. Very legal on the top's the only thing. So maybe you can cut the inside a little bit more, and the stick you can see on the dash is actually how the Porsche adjusts its steering column to help other size drivers be able to jump in and be a-okay.
She's 8th in the session, which ain't that bad, but on the average there's a little bit of time to find. But we've now got the second group in Q3 heading onto the circuit. Simon Bircher in the Ferrari. Number 5 McLaren goes back out. So now the road briefly becomes busy as it overlaps, and then it'll calm down again once the first group heads for the pit lane. You've just seen Mathieu Dietrich, there he is, in number 30 BMW. Guillaume Oliveira was in the number 5 Optimum, McLaren number 4 for Harry George. So you've got some cars trying to finish a lap, others preparing for a flyer. So out of your 10 minutes, in terms of competitive and traffic-free laps, what, 7 minutes, 6.5?
Yeah,
still
three,
not much.
4 flyers if you are lucky with getting out there early, isn't it? So, yeah, one track limit that lap, mistake the next, traffic the next. Suddenly you can see why we've got some big names out of order. And the BMW there, strange how it unloaded itself. It looked quite leery through a high-speed corner where normally the aero sits the car down. The 60 Ferrari looking okay after its trip through the gravel past the medical centre. I thought that was going to be a bit more damaged as we go to another green Ferrari. This time, Balzan in the 45, and it's a good sector 1 so far for this 296 Evo.
Yeah, Alessandro Balzan is somebody that probably doesn't get the credit he deserves, because he's won championships in Alfa Romeo 147s. He's a triple Carrera Cup champion. He's been a Ferrari champion. He's been a Le Mans Cup champion. He's got a really good CV, but rarely does he seem to get a top flight pro drive. But he's very, very quick, is Alessandro Balzan, and he comes now towards the Piff Paff. Maybe that car just looking a little nervous under braking. The Rinaldi racing car clears Piff Paff down now towards campus, past the college, then towards the Courbe Paul Frere. Bit of curve snatched on the inside. So Balzan now out of the Courbe Paul Frere, back onto the loud pedal, and makes the run on towards the long left of Blanchimont. What he has done, though, is get good track position.
Yeah, really good. That's so important, as we've seen many drivers get traffic and lose laps and then struggle to get anywhere where they should be. Just thinking, where are we going to see some of these bronze cars go? Are we going to get any in the 32 that get through to Super Bowl? It's going to be difficult, as Balzan's going to finish his lap. Should be able to bring the average down, which at the moment sits at a 19.4. He's going to cross the line, I think, in the 17.7 to go second overall at the moment. Third now because of the Audi of 25 Climaco.
And Sebastian Oegaard is on a good lap in 66. There it is. You can see sectors being put together nicely. So coming through the chicane, Oegaard then now ready to run up towards the line. This is the car, remember, that won at Monza. And Sebastian Oegaard heads towards the timing line, and he goes through then. That puts the car up to third on the average. And we'll see what that does to the session lap as well. It's third there also. So Mathieu Chaubert, 2:17.2, getting close to that.
Yeah, Audi 1, 2, 3, and it's another Audi purple sector 1, isn't it? I think we're going to have to keep an eye on that in the race, because it's going to be such a strong place for them to overtake, and it's going to be a nightmare for some cars to maybe overtake them if they're getting held up over the lap.
Simon Birch, number 71, in that selected car racing Ferrari. Sector time's looking okay, so let's see what Birch can do here as he makes that run on through Blanchimont, heading towards the end of the lap. Number 71 Ferrari right now finding itself quite a long way down in the session times, but they sort of vault it back up. And Guillaume Oliveira going nicely in number 5 McLaren. That, as you can see, has done an absolute best. So the selected car investment sponsored Ferrari to the timing line. You'll see the graphic in a moment tell you what Simon Birch has done when he gets towards the beam, and he goes quickest of all. 2:17.228, best of the session, but he might be battered by Oliveira. No, not quite. Yes, he is battered by Oliveira. A 2:17.106. Oliveira goes fastest, but it puts him second on the average.
There's a 16 coming. Next pro session, there's going to be a 16 out there. Who's it going to be, though? Is it going to be McLaren? Is it going to be Ferrari? Is it going to be one of the other brands that hasn't quite been up there?
It might happen yet at the end of this, because we're not quite done yet, and you've still got some quick people to come. So, for example, over the timing line there, the Garage 59 McLaren, we're only about a tenth away from dipping below the 2:17 mark. This is Cesar Gazot, who comes across the timing line in number 6. Mercedes goes third on a 2:17.2. And still they come pouring through behind, the average dropping. Now fastest on average has gone Louis Pret, who is 6th in this session. Meanwhile, you've got the Alex Frasinetti Audi being chased by Sebastian Oegaard's Audi. Could either of these do anything about the 16s? Well, Oegaard is looking like he might do there. Comes up towards the line. 2:17.1 is still the target time. Over the line goes Oegaard, and that lap is a slower one, a 2:17.4 after all the effort. Big bounce over the curb for Simon Gachet. Here's McLaren now towards the timing line, and he breaks the beam, and he's done it, hasn't he? He's into the 16s, a 2:16.685 for Simon Gachet, and that is by quite a margin. That's 0.4 of a second.
It's the lap of qualifying so far, isn't it? As you said, 4/10 clear. And the final chicane looked messy. The curb usage is good. They had a big snap of oversteer. It really surprised me that was the purple sector 3, and it shows you that he was just hustling on hard and takes that car up to second overall as well for Simon Gachet.
That's out of the Gold Cup. So you've got gold and silver at the top, then gold and silver behind. Simon Birch wants to try to buy back into this, number 71 Ferrari. The pit exit's gone green for the approach to Group C. Birch over the line. Right, what does that do for number 71? Puts him second, and he's a 17.002. So close to getting below that magic number.
16.8 for Oliveira, so he keeps the McLaren in the hunt. 3 McLarens in the top 4.
Yeah.
Detry going up to an 18.6, 22nd overall.
And Oliveira also sort of halving that gap, isn't he? 4/10 becomes 2/10. Louis Pret, who seems to get quicker all the time, coming through for Garage 59. Pret 8th currently, but ahead on the average. And as he's about to break the beam, that lap is going to put him a 2:17.5. So doesn't really shuffle the order too much. This is Cesar Gazzo 5th at the moment. And Gazzo has done a personal and an absolute best and goes second on a 2:16.855.
Track temp suddenly dropping quite quickly now. There doesn't seem to be much sun blessing the tarmac anywhere around here at Spa, so the times are going to start to tumble.
Yeah.
Air temp still high, 29.8 degrees as we go late into the evening, 9:20 local time here.
It's happy hour now, isn't it? The drivers and cars and engines and teams, everybody a bit happier. The conditions are cooling and getting a time out of the car is a bit easier, but here I think Simon Gachet is going to be delayed a bit by Harry George, not deliberately, but the Optimum McLaren in the wrong place at the wrong time. So Gachet, in fairness, had lost ground anyway. Look in the middle sector, and he's a bit stuck behind Harry George coming up towards the timing line. Gachet breaks the beam, still a 2:16.7. So Simon Gachet over the timing line, a 10th down on his earlier best. That's pretty impressive given the traffic.
Really was, because for sure he would have been compromised, even where he would have had to brake not to go in the back of Harry George in the Optimum McLaren Pintos here in the Greystone GT car. Bumped into Mark McLaughlin, team owner of Greystone earlier. He was really happy with his driver's performance and his team's. Like you said earlier, David, big step up for Greystone, but they seem to be holding their own in the most competitive GT championship in the world.
Tommy Pintos, the young Spaniard, who did have a spell racing in the UK in Ginetta Juniors. Seems like half this grid has done Ginetta Juniors. If you're under the age of 25, you'd have been on a Ginetta Junior grid. So Tommy Pintos here looking pretty rapid with personal bests in the sectors. So 3 drivers, Gachet, Gazzo and Oliveira, all in the 16s. And Pintos a 17.8 as he goes across the line. He's 12th on the average.
Yep, down to 13th straight away, being the competitive nature of the amount of cars we've got out here. And the Audi of Santalok Klimico still going back. My hero from Zandvoort last year, where he got his elbows out and had a mega result there. And middle sector looks like the tyre has dropped away. Maybe he'll just finish the lap if he can get a toe off the Ferrari, but it's going to be a difficult one to improve. But they'll be happy at the moment, 6th overall.
Right, the pit lane has gone green for the Pro Cup cars now, Q3C to get underway. Still having a fair few laps disappear for track limits, and actually last time through this car lost a lap, so Klimenko comes to the pit lane, session done. And again, teams that don't get into Superpole will tell you, well, it's only qualifying, it doesn't matter, it's a 24-hour race, and those that get into Superpole are going to be super committed to trying to get the top time. Kobe Pauwels then kicks up the dirt, as a good ex-rallycrosser does. His father was a very good Belgian rallycross champion as well, and Benelux champion, Koen Pauwels. So Kobe now, who has been a bit of a star for Aston Martin, and again, the more seat time, the better he's become, and the faster he's become. Was good in Asian Le Mans in the winter, comes now out of Blanchimont towards the chicane, but this lap down in that middle sector, I don't think he's going to pull much of it back, but we'll see.
Difficult once you lose that much time and you see it in front of you. Some drivers these days actually turn the delta off. Lando Norris in Formula 1 started a bit of a trend that it's a distraction and you're better just to go on your feeling. And it's brave if you can do it, because what the Delta gives you is a direct correlation of what I've just done at that corner. Was it better or worse? And that's why the drivers get addicted to it.
So the exit of La Source still really, really dirty with all of that gravel. Now, because the temperatures have dipped, you've got fans at the front of the grandstand. It's a mega view from up there, it really is. You're a bit breathless getting to it, but it is a mega view. So now you can see the cars pouring out for Q3C. Including there the number 96 Rotronic Lamborghini, and their 84 with now Christopher Hasser and Marcus Winkelhock to bring that to the end of the session.
Interestingly, every time we've seen the new Lamborghini, neither Rotronic or Grass are running any headlights whatsoever, so I don't know if that's coincidental or something with the car, but as we go to it, the only car I've noticed anyway not running a single part of their illumination kit on the front bumper.
There's the fan zone, which is going to be very busy tomorrow night, and certainly on race night, with all the big grandstands around the concert stage. The shopping village is there. Still haven't got around to going, much to the delight of the family. No more model cars to be bought, but it'll be very, very busy tomorrow. There's also a good bar down there if you're offering.
What's your favourite Belgian beer?
We haven't got long enough to go through the list. But La Chouffe and Triple Carmelite, you can't go wrong, should anyone care. Right, we've got the pros out on track, and there, in number 34, the Aston Martin, now Enrique Chavez, and then Christian Cronjes are the remaining two drivers, and Christian Cronjes does this part of qualifying. He's another former winner of this event, won it in 2018. That was a real surprise win that Valkenhorst's BMW had. And Cronjes kind of specialises perhaps in the Nordschleife, but it's not a dissimilar circuit, this.
No, true, the flow of it, the commitment needed, the length of it, and yeah, then you go into the weather, and not far from here, it's under 100 kilometres. I've actually done it on a bike before, beautiful part of the world, and the forest almost link. You could swing from Tree here all the way to Nordschleife if it wasn't for the E42 motorway.
There in number 48, Lukas Stolz. That was the Winward car that kind of bought itself a good result late race at Monza. The rooftop party is in full swing. It's getting busier and busier and busier. Teams with no time to really think about that, still cycling cars through ready for the next part of qualifying. So let's see what Stolz can do. If anything, Cronjes looks to be quicker. He looks to be getting a little bit nearer on the track.
Yeah, as he backed out, I thought it sounded like the throttle rolled out of it. I'd be surprised that you'd need to with the 48 in front, but still looks loaded through Blanchimont, and he's pushing on into the final corner. And what can Cronjes do? Because that middle sector, not the best one out there.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like an attack, does it, coming into the chicane? But he's perhaps trying to get that Mercedes away, knowing that if he backs off and Stolz presses on, that might just allow the gap to remain all the way around the lap. Marco Sorensen then here, coming up now to the exit of Blanchimont.
On board now for this final break of the lap. Big bump right in the middle of the brake zone here, so some drivers go left and right, but some just commit over. Little bit of curve. We saw the same from Drudy, didn't we, early on? One lap lots, and then the other two, not much. Pushes to the line, the clock ticks up. It's going to be a 17.6, takes the car to second.
Maxi Gertz, who won on his first outing in the 24 Hours of Spa, comes over the timing line, and that puts him, for the moment, to the top on the average, but at 2:17.386, it's only 7th within Q3.
Yeah.
That's Dan Harper, two-wheeling.
It's BMW sounding great. The straight 6 turbo car getting out of it here as we see the 50 Ferrari pushed to the line. This car lit up the timing screens first time out, and Arthur Leclerc 17.6, third overall in the combined at the moment.
Yeah, Arthur Leclerc one to watch, but we anticipate some of these Pro Cup cars to be getting down towards the 16s in due course. Arthur Leclerc has just done the absolute best last sector. That's Matt Campbell back on a European GT3 grid in the Schumacher CLRT Porsche, and the Mustang here, the Fabio Scherer, who's been a class winner here in LMP2, in WEC, for example. He's out of the chicane now. This car should be well suited to Spa, and you've got to say Halps has done an amazing job to get 2 cars on this grid after the huge dramas they had at Turn 1 at Monza.
Yeah, just listen to the symphony of noise as you see the Rotronic Lamborghini still without headlights. Bryn Lucas reports from pit lane, Rotronic saying they're not using them because They don't need them yet, apparently.
Fair enough.
Strange everyone else has got them on, but what am I to know?
There is a regulation time as well, isn't there, where race control insists that the headlights are on. I mean, normally you have them on because it reminds people that there's a quick car behind you, but we'll see when they put them on.
The only logic I can apply is that it's putting less load through the alternator, as actually we cut to the man filter car, which also has zero illumination on it. But that could be the only positive I could find. But yeah, as a driver, I always preferred to have them on. Psychologically, felt like it was your best chance to get traffic out of your way.
Lukas Stolz goes through and is second on the average now. Simon Gachet's 2:16 still staying as the top time. It's interesting that it's taking these cars a bit longer than we might have anticipated to get anywhere near, never mind get ahead of those earlier times.
Yeah, strange, wasn't it? And those times came late on for the previous session. I just wonder if the track temp dropping away has maybe caught a few teams out. The pressure's now a bit too low in these tyres as we go to the 17 car of Goertz. And this car obviously heavily involved with the incident at Monza, and 2:17.2 as we go back on board with Dan Harper in the 46. Valentino Rossi WRT. BMW gets down the gear so quickly there. These cars do have a block system. When you downshift too early, it will refuse the downshift if you'll detonate the engine. But that BMW sounding very free revving on the downshifts.
And Dan Harper goes through. The BMWs, and we said this in free practice, not really looking all that flash at the moment. Dean McDonald is the current quickest within this group, as Tommaso Mosca goes through, and he's up to second in the group ahead of Arthur Leclerc. Tommaso Mosca is somebody that's making quite a nice reputation for himself this year as a very rapid Ferrari driver. He's been a double Italian GT endurance champion and now starting to show everybody what he's capable of. Fabio Scherer here is in the Mustang riding that curb, coming into the chicane, and the car powering its way towards the timing line. It will break the beam on a 2:17.4, 10th on the average.
Yeah, everyone's just mid-17s, aren't they? No one's lighting it up into the 16s like we saw at the end of the previous session. Lamborghini coming across the line. It's a very soft car at the moment, that car.
The best we've had in this session, or this group, is now Thomas Preining, fourth, and he's done a 2:16.9. So it is possible Thomas Preining is the first of them. You're looking at Chris Lullen, and he comes up towards the line, but he's not going to get the 16s, I don't believe. A 17.3. What about Stolz? He's next into the chicane here.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the last car to squeeze another lap, unless Cronjes in the Valkenhurst car can. 9 seconds, got to get to the white line now, so going to squeeze one, and it'll be same, yeah, just about for the car behind.
Yeah, close, a 17.1 for Stolz. And what about Christian Cronjes behind? There is the Tommaso Mosca Ferrari then. So that's now ahead on the average, although in this group, Mosca is fourth.
Yeah, I know we were talking about happy hour earlier, although your face didn't say it, David. I just wonder if we're seeing what we actually saw at Le Mans a few weeks back with the humidity being so high. Although the sun goes down, I think the humidity and the dew point on the track then comes into play, because it was a really fine window. I'm just surprised these pro cars, seemingly as an average 4 or 5 tenths slower than the previous run. Of course, shows you how strong and competitive drivers are in all classes here at Spa 24, but I just expected that trend to continue.
Now, if this were the race, and this is happening during a stint, that's something else to factor in, isn't it? Because you start the stint thinking, oh, God, this car's fantastic, and by the end of an hour of being on track, it could be not undrivable, but a different animal.
There's just so many unknowns for a Spa 24 for the teams. The track temp, the ambient is one, but I've never seen humidity at 75% when it's not raining at Spa. So there's just so many unknowns for the teams to have to go. There's not much wind. The direction is in its normal way. It's on the tail into the bus stop chicane, headwind down the Kemmel. So there's some things they can guarantee, but some they can't.
Thomas Preining doing a bit of weaving there. This is the one car out of this group that we have got into the 2:16s. Not quite why the weave, I'm not sure. Chris Lullen is still pressing on as well, but both he and Preining are down in that middle sector.
I think Preining must have had to overtake the Lambo, 3.2 down in sector 2, and probably just clean his tyres up. And again, we'll see that a lot in the race cars, going offline to overtake, getting all the marbles to try to sparks now coming off the bottom of the Mercedes skid blocks, which are normal for Lullen. I think Lullen could finish this lap. It's not the best sector 2, but it was a good sector 1. You see the brake disc starting to glow. He's going to finish the lap, open the wheel up, full throttle, unleash the V8 of the Verstappen.com car. Interestingly, not going the shortest distance to the line, 17.4, 10th overall for that car.
And Lukas Stolz heads towards the chicane.
Boxes.
and yeah, won't be an improver. So we're pretty much down out of Q3, and one further run, Q4 coming up. And now Spa starts to take on a totally different feel, doesn't it, as the sun starts to set and the trees and the landscape take on a greater aspect of the visage in the background. So the cars, if they're in the endurance pits, trickle in, and we get set for Q4. Swiss Timing, the timekeeping service, resets all of its screens, drivers get on board, and we await the green flag at the end of the pit lane. First up, though, is that fast lane open message for the teams. Really busy paddock. You've got the GT3 legends down in the bottom paddock. You've got Lamborghinis and McLarens as well, plus this monster grid of GT3 cars.
I'm going to make a sweeping statement without any knowledge, which is a favourite of mine, I know. I can't see anyone inside the top 10 now struggling to not get in the top 32. So I think that lap from Lulham to get him 10th keeps that car safe. The quality of the third drivers all being so strong, I don't think you're going to see any of those top 10 struggle to make our Super Pole now.
Unless anybody has a drama and can't get a time, for example. But yeah, under normal circumstances, I think I would go along with that. Fast lane is open then for Q4A. And this is where we stand at the moment, with Alessio Rovera, Tommaso Mosca having done the work, from Ricardo Feller and Thomas Preining. Then Joseph Loke and Dean O'Donnell. Some big names to come. Nicholas Nielsen, Bastien Bus, Marvin Kirchhofer. It is in gold, Tom Fleming and Louis Pret's efforts that have got that car ahead. In silver, Samuel Vega, Dante Reponge, Guillaume Oliveira. And we'll get to bronze, because outside the top 20 is where you will find the leading Bronze Cup car. And I think it's the Dustin Blackman, Ben Tuck, now Matty Chaubert, soon to be Dennis Marshall Ferrari. And Pro-Am is still the very Belgian Xavier Knauf, Greg Servet, Sarah Bovey, soon to be Nico Bart, 700 Comptieu Aston. It's a stellar lineup, isn't it? Every time you look at a result line, you see some star names, and Miguel Molina, for example, a Le Mans winner, ready to go in Q4 in number 70 Ferrari. Ben Green to go the Corvette Zero, and Joel Stern, James Kellett, Mathieu Jaminet, Nico Menzel all still to come. Sven Muller is going to be worth watching in that.
What do you want to be as top 32?
Yeah, exactly. G's did a mega job in his stint just then. Just looking now to have a good few runs. Yeah, like I say, the aim is just to be in the top 32 for this session. So no points for winning now. Get into the Super Pole and then see where we go from there is the main goal.
We've seen times come down and then go back up again. And where's it settling? What do you think you can achieve out there?
Hopefully mid-16s. I'm not sure. I'll see when I'm out there. Obviously, lower fuel. You know, the track temperature's coming down. So just got to see what we can do.
Okay, well, that should put you in the top 32. Good luck.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Now we have a red flag, and the pit exit had gone green. Some cars had got out. I was thinking maybe they'd gone out in error, but the pit exit did go, well, we were told it had gone green. And there, look, cars that had gone over the line, I think, are being released to go around the circuit and join the queue.
At 80 k's, that will take some time.
Yeah, it will rather. But the reason for the red flag is not immediately apparent, unless one or two cars have gone out too soon, and in the interest of fairness you've got to stop it and go again, because otherwise they'd be gaining an extra lap effectively.
Yeah, so these cars will just cruise back at 80 k's, and unfortunately for them, they're on their new tyre, so this isn't what you want for your new tyre. You want to get them out the oven, bolt them on the car and drive out, and build them up on your outlap and then push. And this is really going to play a little bit of havoc for tyre temps and tyre pressures, and more annoyingly for them and the 5 cars that are going around turn 10, 11 at the moment as well. They lose track position, of course. They now go to the back of that queue on pit exit, so and potentially open themselves up for some penalties if they cross the pit exit line with a red light on.
So the plot thickens as to quite why the red. As I say, it may have been on administrative reasons that perhaps a car, although it's a surprise if a driver at this level, if you're in Q4, you're a pro, but I'd be surprised if anybody misunderstood the fast lane and drove straight out. Now that's number 17, which is the Fabian Schiller, Maxi Goetz, Maxi Martin Mercedes, and that's clearly had a big trip through the gravel.
Or has it? And is that just what they're picking up? Because I was actually at 2Cs earlier looking at how they re-prep the cars, and the driver filter, the cabin filter, was full of gravel of that exact colour. And I was speaking to the mechanics, like, yeah, that's normal.
Really?
I actually worry that something's failed on there. You see the hub?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a strange mix, isn't it, of like cement gravel.
Yeah.
It's a lot finer and greyer than the gravel track gravel.
True.
But it's exactly the same colour as what I saw in the filter earlier. But they're getting to work quickly on that. And
this red flag helps because they've got a bit more time, of course.
Very good point. But you can see it's been grinding on the inside of that backing plate. So that sits on the inside of the disc to aid the cooling. And getting a good insight there, and I wonder if the scrutineers are keeping an eye on this. The regulations very tight on what you can change during qualifying, of course.
So we await news as to stoppage. It's not that a car's gone off, I don't believe, because we had everybody back in, so I can only assume, as I say, somebody may have gone through a red light, but we'll double check. Cars had left, and then quickly we went to the red flag. So there is the Bartone Get Speed Mercedes sitting in the pit lane, ready to go when it is allowed forward. That runs in silver. So Q4, good to go. First of all, we need to get these two cars down the pit lane. The session's going to restart at 21:43, which is just over 2 minutes away.
Yeah, so these are the final cars to go round. 7 kilometres at 80k, 5 minutes and 15 seconds that took them to get back round. I think race control adding a little bit of time to make sure they get back to pit exit and they aren't compromised, which would kind of show to me that maybe they were innocent for crossing that exit line.
Yeah, those cars, I think, were allowed around, but it was the first batch that, anyway, I'm sure we'll unravel it in due course, but the race director, Niels Vittich, wants the session brought back under control, and then he can release the field en bloc. So there is the line forming.
Final 2 cars now back, and
Yeah.
that was that loss I was talking about. They were at the front of this queue, and now they are at the back of the queue, and they 14, 15 cars back, and they're going to have to work a lot harder now to find some space.
But initially they were in the middle because the first handful had gone, then they got stopped, then they were released. So
it's like how I shuffle a pack of cards.
It is a little bit.
Terrible.
Right, that line is good to go. We're about a minute away from having another go at a green light. There's that new grey pit building, more hospitality buildings here, and that new bridge that links both sides of the circuit, rather than just a gantry with the lights on it, is now a proper bridge. That's where the old Union Oil Tower used to be, that for so many years was the race control building, but demolished and rebuilt. Further up the pit lane is the old timing building. That's probably the next one that's earmarked for renovation. But you've got to say, Spa's had a huge amount of investment in recent years.
Yeah, and they're building residentials, aren't they, by the circuit, like they've done at Silverstone. It's a very good US model as well, where members buy a villa at the track and they can keep their cars there. And actually, Circuits of the America have gone into private ownership. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Paris Mullins doing a mega job there. Keeping a racetrack profitable is a hard job. And racetracks, I think, now benefiting off an amazing run of popularity in motorsport as we go back to green.
We do indeed. There's a good vantage point on that Ferris wheel as the cars are now to the left of them, making their way out onto the circuit. Legit this time. Everybody now being told they've got to have their lights on, so Rutronic can't get away with being in the dark, as it were. Got to go green. Right, we're back on track, and our final part of qualifying to determine a grid is underway. That part of the pit lane you see with the right and the short straight and then the left, that's a no-cut zone being very carefully policed during the course of these sessions and the race itself. A lot of weaving going on, and this is really the first time that we get in this year's event for our director to go headlight spotting and try to work out what's dazzling him and what's brightened the cameraman's viewfinder. There is the Porsche from '93, the Ziggo Tempesta Porsche, run by the Herberth team, and powering its way down now towards Bruxelles.
Quite an aggressive tyre warm-up. Can you hear it's flat out on the throttle while on the brake? So the best way to build the temp is to ride the brake. So don't suggest you do it in your road car because you'll eat a load of your steering wheel, but the best way is full gas and then give it a load of brake at the same time as we get ready to race under moonlight.
A very FLL down of you. Right, the dynamic Porsche, which doesn't go in this section, gets ready. Get the tyres on that car when the fast lane is about to open and send it down to the end of the pit lane. So now you see what an impact the lights make. The natural light certainly faded over the last hour or so. One or two cars getting out of the way to try to find clear track space. Sometimes maybe in a session like this it's easier to follow than be followed as well.
Yeah, the light at the moment as a driver is better. The camera always makes it look slightly darker. So at the moment we'll be okay with that. And air temp actually just hanging at 29.8. Seemingly doesn't want to drop. Drivers now instructed lights must be on. As again we're going through this warm-up phase. That's why we're hard on the brakes, where typically we'll be hard on the throttle. But all lights now must be on.
James Kellett in the Paradigm 991 BMW. That's a sign of confidence from Darren Lung that he's been given the last part of qualifying when the car's at its lightest and perhaps the fastest. James, a Ginetta champion who's also raced in Porsches in the UK and in Germany. A quick Yorkshireman.
Sorry, it's all the way down in 60th, isn't it? After a strong first session for Fourier, his time is accredited as a 2:45. So he must have lost those fast ones that we saw to track limits, because he was well up there in his session, wasn't he? But his fastest time is down at 2:45, hence why the 991 down in 60th place.
So James Kellett pushing on then, sets the target in Sector 1. Darren Lung, great enthusiast, somebody else has not been racing for a massive amount of time, but along with Simon Traves and new recruit Jamie Warren, they built Paradigm into quite a powerhouse. And Darren not only finding the right people to drive with him, but also helping young drivers to move up through the ranks. And as we said earlier on, Leighton Forey is the latest example of that, being a new recruit for this weekend. James Kellett, now a stalwart Paradigm driver, and he's got the road to himself pretty much, hasn't he?
Yeah, looking nice, isn't it? It's going to be quite easy to spot this car at night for our producer, with a lovely pink LED lights in the grille and over the top, and lots of teams add this driver ID just so it's in pit lane. It's slightly easier to spot your car from the other potential 68 cars.
Except we've got a Porsche with lots of pink lights in a similar vein on the side, so as long as you know which one's yours. But yeah, they've decorated the front of it as well, that mouth almost with pink lipstick on it on that BMW. So coming out of the Coop Paul Frere comes James Kellett. He's lost his absolute best Sector 1, you'll have noticed, because now he's been bested in that as well by Dennis Marshall. Perhaps no real surprise in that Castle Ferrari, because we know that Dennis is another very, very quick driver. James Kellett now coming up through Blanchimont. And Dennis Marshall's lap being pieced together on that other graphic there. James Kellett goes down through the gears, launches himself over the curbs, and let's see what the lap time is going to be. We're looking for things in the 16s, and we're not going to get that. 2:17.5.
Yeah, on the nose. Marshall still 40 seconds away as cars stream past us. You can see a difference in light strategy. The Porsche light's so bright. Here is Dennis Marshall coming in through Sector 3. We've got a bit of traffic in front of us, haven't we? It's the 177 car that's potentially going to get in the way. The Mercedes, they're just about okay at the moment. Just want to see if we're flat through there, but we're in the dirty air. This is going to be hard to know where to brake. You don't want to brake early, but you don't want to rear end a £500,000 Mercedes GT3 car. He's just going to get away with it. He opens up the last part. He's going to get a slight toe to the line, but actually we're up on the sausage curb at 19. At our flow, we cross the line 17.3 with the purple Sector 1 and 3.
Down towards La Source then, as the Dennis Marshall time is a 2:17.370, and he's still stuck, isn't he, behind that Mercedes as they drop down the hill then. Clock ticking on down in this final part of qualifying for this group. Meanwhile, another effort is being made there. Look on the inside line by number 8 Porsche that's got the very rapid Joel Sturm behind the wheel. And this could be a good lap by Joel as he comes now up towards the line. The Porsche is about to break the beam, and as he goes through, he goes third at 2:18.102. But that brief period of laps in the 2:16s has gone, and Sturm round the outside. That was brave at La Source.
Carrera Cup race, wasn't it? I thought they were going to take each other out for a little moment then, as we see the Zero Corvette. I feel I can hear it from the drone. Then we flick back from our lowest to our highest numbered car, the 999.
Benjamin Pack at the wheel of it with the blue lights on the side for the recognition. Here he comes, and let's see, comes into the chicane. It's not going to be a mega lap, but it's going to be decent enough, I think, in the 17s up towards the line. Does he? No, 2:18.3, just tips over the wrong side of that. So 10th thus far is Benjamin Pack out of La Source. So a 2:17.3 is now the best. Dan Arrow in the Winward 87 Mercedes, having taken over from Renat Salikov in the last session. Kian Jewis is looking good in the 2Cs 222 Mercedes right there. Kian Jewis, who is another much underrated British driver, but is a lot better than he gets credit for. I think he was an absolute revelation in British GT last year, but was rather overlooked wrongly, and he's just gone third fastest as he goes over the line on the average, and fifth in this session, Kian Jewis. So going well, as you would expect.
Yeah, I'm just starting to try and work out if any of the bronze cars can get through on their average. It's going to be very close, I think, for the 74 car. It's obviously our best chance, but I think the top 3 in bronze have got a chance of getting through in the top 32.
This is Max Janssen, the Dutch driver, which is good for Ziggo, having a Dutch driver on board, but he's new to the car and new to the team, but we've seen him in BMWs in the past being very competitive, and Max Janssen has just gone over the timing line to be 7th within this session. And he puts that car now to 8th on the average as well. Dennis Marshall here has found another playmate, and it's the Resume Porsche just up the road ahead.
Great chance to see the differences in these cars' strengths and weaknesses. Marshall trying to do everything to try and get the attention of the Porsche in front. We go to the Porsche of Gerald Sturm after a brilliant Sector 2. Sector 3, where's it going to be? It's not going to be a 16, it's going to be a 17.5. 15th overall at the moment for this car. It's going to be hard for them to be in the top 32 at the end of this.
It is indeed. It's 4th in this session, but as you say, on the average, a lot lower down. Next one through is the next Porsche, which does not really shuffle the order. Leo Yi, in the meantime, in the high-class racing 911, number 86, is currently 9th in this session. A lot of dust being kicked up there from the Mercedes. Benjamin Pack has just on a good middle sector, and as he comes up towards the timing line, let's see what he can do in number 999. He can go 3rd in the session, 2:17.409. So good effort that. There he is by Benjamin Pack. We'll see whether he does another lap or whether he decides to pack it in.
Back on board with my favourite sounding GT3 car. It's the first one I ever raced, the 997 car, actually with Malta Motorsport, who are here in the 123 Porsche 992 now. The iterations going on in a completely illogical manner that I've never understood, but yeah, this car going very well.
Leo Yi over the line now 7th on the average. Sven Muller is in this session as well, number 97 Porsche. He ought to be one to watch, shouldn't he, in that Rutronic car. I just wonder whether that's actually 100%, because it seems to have been so sluggish across each of the drivers, and you wouldn't have thought that would be the case. This car, though, is the one that's fastest in the session thus far. Dan Arrow, Dan Pahl as was, but he got so fed up of people not being able to pronounce his surname, he changed it to Arrow, which he thought was quick and pointy and had some energy and urgency to it. So Dan Arrow he now is, and going nicely here in 87 Mercedes AMG. Oh, bottoming out there. Wow.
The bumps got worse over the last 12 months there into Piff Paff. Brake zones are always bumpy because the energy of these cars, pulling nearly 3G under braking, just roll the tarmac up. But there, the bumps have kind of gone in sequence of 3 or 4. And yeah, for a car bottoming out, that's not a nice feeling as a driver for 24 hours. And maybe the team's going to have to lift the ride height up of these cars, not to wear a hole through the bottom of that very expensive carbon fibre splitter.
So if you're new to GT World Challenge Europe, better explain that you've got the isolated sessions. So Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, one per driver for each car. We can talk about the isolated session and an order in that. But then, for the purposes of the grid, you have a combined average time, which is the one that the car takes. So we're talking about where they are in the session and where they are on the average, because it is that combined average order that gives us the top 32 that goes into Superpole. I've probably not made that much clearer, have I? But that's how it works. You're looking at Mathieu Jaminet coming out of the chicane, and the Herbert Porsche looks rapid, goes across the timing line, and Jaminet is fastest on a 2:17.212 in Q4 alone, and on the average, 5th that car now is.
Yeah, I think if you want to simplify qualifying, what's better than one session? 11. And that's what we've had tonight.
And then there's another bit tomorrow.
Oh, yeah,
which is going to be another 4.
15.
Yeah, because Super Pole gets broken down. We start with 32, then we get 16, then the next 8, and the fastest 4 go into the final bit. And then, having got a grid, we let them loose for 24 hours, and then it all gets shuffled again. If you want to get a good view, you know how to climb the rock here. 28 Audi up towards the line. This session is, yes, now at an end. Q4A is done, and the pit exit is green for Q4B. So Group A are the Bronze and Pro-Am Cup cars. Group B are the Gold and Silver Cup, and then C is Pro.
Yeah, Sturm unable to do anything about Sector 2. He has been purple twice in Sector 2 in this session, so Porsche going well in that long sector. 41% of the Spa lap is Sector 2, so the longest lap by longest sector quite considerably, and the most important really for the balance of the car too.
So Joel Sturm comes towards the chicane. Winwood look pretty happy with the 87 car being second in this session and second on the average. That'll do them, I think.
Yeah, in the mix, aren't they? The battle in that class between the 74 and the 87, you've got two of the shiniest bronze drivers going, and then they've recruited the best they can get in their categories alongside them. So that is going to be a mega fight between the 74 Kessel Ferrari and the Winwood 87 Mercedes.
Quick fly down pit lane to pick out the cars for Pro. And in some cases, Gold and Silver getting ready. But you can see many of the cars that are in the Pro Cup without the wheels because they're not needed out of the ovens yet. And some of those cars have already boxed and are done for the day. But increasingly now, it's not so much the session, it's not so much the position in the average, it's if you're in that top 32. That's now going to become the increased focus, especially when we get to the last group.
Yeah, and if we're talking about qualifying, like, why is it important where you finish in this top 32? 4 of the last 8 poles from Super Pole have been pole in this average qualifying session. So it does show you there's some real form across the car. And shout out to Jim Weeks from SRO for that stat. But surprising that one, that the form really follows true that strongly.
So here you've got the cars in Group B starting a lap, and those in Group A pitting at the end of their night work. Although for the mechanics, I suspect not the end of the night's work, because they'll still have work to do. It's a grueling weekend all round this.
Yeah, I was speaking to a few teams and asking the mechanics, what time do you think you're out of here tonight? And they went, well, it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. But the good news is that tomorrow there's only Super Pole, and if they want it, the warm-up session. The warm-up oddly runs the day before the actual race starts, but it's just a chance as a last shakedown. Not everybody always goes out for that, but in some cases, if you don't get into Super Pole, you've bought yourself a lot more time tomorrow. Yeah,
a few of the mechanics say, when I speak to them, where would you like to qualify tonight? They're going 33rd, which is quite nice, actually.
Best of the rest, you mean, yeah. So they can be mid-grid, but they don't have to worry about Super Pole tomorrow. And it's going to be interesting to see whether Christian Cronje's car gets through to that, because Enrique Chavez was the poor bloke that binned it and put it out of the race last year. So A, does it get through? And B, if it does, is he going to be given the responsibility? Ruben Del Sart crossing the line. His father, Rafael Real Del Sart, one of the drivers that came to prominence in the very first year of Formula First, the budget single-seater category in the UK. Mikey Porter, we heard from a little while ago. He's now been put into number 5, McLaren. And track limit cancellations are coming thick and fast right now.
Yeah, had been quite well behaved, haven't they? But Mikey Porter last weekend in British GT, falling foul of that in the GT4 class, went on to win the race. So he kept his toys inside the pram for the 2-hour race here that we had last weekend as part of SRO Speed Week. He's backed out of this one due to traffic, and he's just got to try and manipulate that space so he doesn't hold up the car behind, but he generates the gap to get one more push after this.
Mikey Porter then up towards the line. The car now leaps up on the average, but of course we're not necessarily comparing like for like here because we've got another batch of cars still to come, so the order is a little bit distorted right now. Carol Bash, one to watch, normally to be seen doing great things in Lamborghinis, but aboard the Get Speed Mercedes, Adam Osika's team. Remember a few years back, Adam was brought in to drive in place of Kenny Habel against his own cars. Get Speed were on the grid, and after Kenny Habel had his big accident in practice at Eau Rouge, then eventually it was Adam Osika who was able to get into that car with the right grading and help. I think it was a class win, but the Get Speed cars were on the grid anyway. This is David Perel, the South African, who after a bit of circuit racing ran out of money, went off and became a good sim racer and started a sim business. Coach Dave is his company. That gave him the financial clout to come back into racing, and in real world racing, largely in Ferraris, he's become a very, very good racer indeed. Alex Arca, good to have him back after missing Monza, and another really quick driver. He goes through and goes fastest then on the average, and he's quickest in this, and he's done a 2:16 as well, a 2:16.969. So are we now back on for good laps? How low in the 16s can we get them?
Yeah, well, the gloves are off, aren't they? And it's where can they get with it all? Suddenly seems to have come alive. Track temp now 35 degrees, air still at 28, so it's not massively an obvious happy hour, but the lap times are starting to say otherwise.
There is Jens Klingman, another vastly experienced driver going through. You can trace Jens back to racing in Formula BMW and Super Trofeo. Here, Gilles Stadsbader has been a peripatetic driver from brand to brand, Lamborghini and BMW, now Ferrari, and he's aboard 52 and looking pretty handy. This is the car that he shares with Francesco Braschi, with Jeff Machiels and Matthias Zagazzetta, the Peruvian that used to race in the British F4 Championship. But Gilles Stadsbader, who's another Italian GT champion, comes up towards the line. And let's see whether he's anywhere near the 16s when he gets to the beam. It's going to be a 17.9, so quite a long way adrift, actually.
Yeah, it's difficult to try and find the lap time over this lap when you start to overdrive it as well. So sometimes Spa prefers you just bringing it back a bit, slightly earlier on the brakes, getting on top of the apex curve, getting the exit there. As you see, one of the McLarens putting down the rubber out the last corner, trying to put roughly 560 horsepower down just through the rear wheels, of course.
We just had Frederick Schandorf do a 2:17.2, so he's getting there. What can McLaren do here? 58, Benji Goethe, perhaps a little ragged into the chicane. The car now gets the power down. Didn't seem to maybe have quite the same bite that it needed coming off the corner, and he's in the 17 to 17.3. He's quickest on the average, but he's now fifth in this session, third in this group, and third on the average.
Yes, lots of math to be doing, but it's now the combine that's the important one, isn't it? And as you said, that 58 McLaren has gone back to the top there, and the number 5 McLaren, 5th overall, so that's easy, same as its car number, and sorry, it's the 4-1, so it's not the same. That's annoying, isn't it? And this guy down in 11th.
And the fast lane, it's been a long night, the fast lane is open for Q4C. In other words, this now is coming towards its close, and we're going to get the pros out on track to give us effectively the provisional classification, and that top 32 is what we're going to be looking at on that graphic.
Yeah, just looking back at the bronze classes, so the 87 car is in 18th, the 74 is in 12th. They're right on the cusp, I think, of making it through. I don't think the 87 will now, but the 74 still has a chance.
James Kell in the 111 CSA Racing McLaren. Car just hops a little bit coming into the piff path, but James has done another massive amount of racing in recent years. If there's a GT championship going, he'll be in it, whether it's GT World, whether it's Igto, whether it's Asian Le Mans. And comes now out of campus on towards the Courbe Paul Frere.
His father racing as well now, actually, so it's a family affair, both in McLaren, so yeah, good to see lad and dad racing.
Right, so James Kell in the last sector of the lap. Mikey Porter does a 2:17.6. Still, only Alex Arca in that group did a 2:16, so the optimism wasn't necessarily followed up by the rest, but equally, perhaps that makes Alex Arca's effort more meritorious, and is that another tick for the Audi, that it can deliver the laps?
You would say so, wouldn't you? And another tick for Alex Arca as well. He's been in good form this year. As we look at another Audi and another Audi purple sector.
There you go, backs up the point.
Yeah, nice timing there with the shot we pick up there. Where's it going to be in Sector 2? This is the one every time we see Sector 2 for the Audi, it's plus 5 tenths off the fastest. What's it going to be this time for the number 66? It's only a tenth off. This is going to be good.
It is, but it's his last shot, Rocco Mazzola there, because we've got to the end of Q4B, so he'll take the flag this time, and that'll do for him. Rocco Mazzola then is 10th on the average and 13th within this Q4. Comes out of Blanchimont. Bit of traffic up the road. Won't catch it, I don't think. So remember, the sister car did a 2:16.9, and Mazzola now hauls the car out of the chicane. Don't think he's quite going to do it, but he's going to miss out narrowly. A 17.2, nearly but not quite. Rocco Mazzola then ends 7th in Q4, 10th on the average.
Yep, should be good enough to get them through to Super Pole, you would imagine. So go back to Jens Klingmann in the Rover 998 car in 9th at the moment, coming out of turn 19, pushes to the line. This is going to be a good lap, isn't it? 17.8 in the end, goes up to 10th.
We just had a car have a lap time deleted for a pit lane infringement. It's the 700 ComTU Pro-Am Aston. I don't think it's going to affect our Super Pole 32, but just by way of record, you can lose a lap time for an infringement in the pit lane as well. The stewards working rapidly to determine the appropriate penalties. You look at Gilles Stadsbader here coming up towards the line, may even box.
Yeah, it looks like he's backed out of it. I think he was fully lift and coast through the final part of Blanchimont, and engineers will be asking the drivers just to save them a bit of fuel at the end of this. It's a hard qualifying to work out how much fuel to put in when you're cycling through 3-4 drivers, all saying they only need 1 lap to do their time, and then traffic maybe needing 3 or 4 and using up to 4 kilos of fuel a lap round here. So hard for the engineers to work out how much to put in these cars.
So the final part of qualifying is underway. You can see that we're already down to our last 7 minutes of the night, and now the pros venture out onto the circuit. Away there goes 48, the Manfilter Mercedes. That's got to be a potential pole car, but it's got to be a potential winner as well. And for Maro Engel, winner of both IGTC races already this year.
Yeah, they're effectively 6th at the moment in the pro class part of quali, so where's that going to put them? I think they're probably going to look at it well inside the top 10. I reckon they've got a chance maybe of a top 4 with Maro Engel now about to set his times.
As here into La Source comes Nicky Thiem in the 007 Aston, and he steps over the curb and drags a little bit more gravel onto the road, but Nicky Thiem ought to be quick here. He's always a star, he's always spectacular, he's always brave, and he's the perfect combination for Spa.
Yeah, another victim, turn 1 Monza, wasn't he, as well? We had a great interview with him afterwards, and he was pretty calm about it considering what he went through, but he always delivers some action. That's one thing the day never lacks on.
Absolutely right. So here, coming up towards Les Combes, is the Aston, and he's done a decent enough first sector. Fabian Schiller, though, going even faster in sector 1 behind him in the number 17 Get Speed Mercedes. And I highlight that because it means that brake situation they were looking at is okay.
Yeah, well, we know it's rolling. We don't know if the performance is 100% there, and I'm sure they had a bedded disc if they had to swap it anyway. You don't want to put a brand new disc on that hasn't gone through the heat process. It just doesn't have the bite, and it can be dangerous as well because it hasn't gone through the extremes of 600 degrees. And the bedding process for a GT3 car can take up to 6-7 laps to get the disc fully bedded in.
So we're still looking at times in the 16s as the target. There is the charging Fabian Schiller, another part of that Nürburgring 24-hour winning crew. Fabian Schiller, who's another good, steady and speedy pair of hands for Mercedes AMG. Let's see what he can deliver in the course of this race. It's a good combination, that, isn't it? Schiller, Maxime Martin, Maxi Goetz, and 2/3 of that team, previous winners of this event. Goetz and Martin a win each. And Fabian Schiller, to the eye, looks quick. We'll see where the lap time puts him. Nicky Thiem is about to head up towards the timing line, and as he does so, he's going to rattle up the curb, as you see. Now pulls the pin out of the last corner, heads up towards the line, a 14, a 15, a 16, no, 17.4. This is Schiller, who's going to be comparable, I would have thought, as he goes through on a 17.1. And Mirko Bortolotti, last year's winner. He was the man that brought it home at the end of the race. That's a slow lap, 2:18.5.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be able to turn a lap time out at the moment. The new Lamborghini taking over from the super successful Huracan, still finding its teeth as we go on board with the 46 BMW. Max Hesse with the minimal amount of lights. You can just see the yellow lights disappearing out the bottom of your shot as he goes into turn 1. And that car up to 17th. It's struggling, like you said earlier. The BMW unable to really worry the top 10.
Looks as though we're going to get at least one Bronze Cup car in Superpole. The 74 Kessel Ferrari, I reckon, is safe. 87 Mercedes might be able to get in as well. And despite losing its best lap for the pit infringement, I think 700 the Contiu Aston is good for the Pro-Am pole, albeit outside Superpole. It's looking a lot darker all of a sudden on board here, isn't it?
Happens every day, David.
Only at night. 32, Charles Weerts goes through. 13th. How are we doing in terms of times within this last part? The best is Schiller on a 17.1. So Alex Arca's 16 looks ever more meritorious.
Yeah, the 16s have been weird, haven't they? They've just popped out of nowhere, then disappeared again. We had some in the middle part of Q3, and they were like, OK, happy hour's coming. And then the pros couldn't deliver in their Q3, or their second session in Q3, that was. And,
hidden under all those 17s and 18s, the 16s,
yeah, they must be there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Keep on grovelling. Right, up towards the chicane comes the charging Maro Engel. Right, now let's see what Maro can do here. Jules Gounon's just done a 17.0, so oh so close to our magic number of a 16. And Engel a 2.15, a 2.16, a 2.17.4. So that's going to put him now fourth in the average, and the bronze pole, just to confirm, that will go to the Kessel Ferrari number 74, as we were predicting.
Yeah, and they're going to be the only bronze car in Superpole as well. The 87 has dropped to 35th overall, so that's important for the class, because they're going to have to put potentially a lot of cars between themselves in that first and second place in bronze.
Now, what about this BMW? Charles Weerts given the last stint to do. He's on the limit.
It was wide off the apex as he was laying down rubber, so they're unable to just generate lap time anywhere.
Fabian Schiller, a 2.16.817. He has now gone ahead of Alex Arca, so Fabian Schiller is fastest within this isolated session, and he's put 17 to the top on the average.
Yeah, mega lap from Schiller. They're having a strong run last year, then he had contact in the overtaking, a back marker, which effectively ended their race. That was brutal for a car that was looking so strong for so much of the race last year.
So Charles Weerts comes through what looks like a rather insect-ridden night time now, with lots of things flying in front of the camera. So he's splatting on the lights and on the windscreen up towards the chicane. Bug central, but the BMW improving in the sectors, but is it improving enough? Raffaele Marciello and Bastian Boost, BMW and Porsche respectively, are behind him on the lap. So Weerts up to the line, and it's going to be a 17.5, not stellar. This is Marciello, another winner of the event, comes over the line, and that's a 2.17.6, that's slow. And Bastian Boost at 17.0, nearly then, tipping under into the 16s, but not quite. And the flag is about half a minute away.
Yeah, so quality about 0.6 slower on average than last year, and that is down to the weather, I think.
Picariello, number 2 Porsche in the 16s. Gounon a 17.0, nearly there, but Alessio Picariello for Boots and VDS, 2.16.989. So 3 drivers in Q4, and we have a full course yellow with 11 seconds to go, and that's the end of the session, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's done.
Yeah, no one's going to be able to.
Oh, and back to green, and then a checkered flag. So that full course yellow graphic that suddenly appeared. Strange, but anyway, some drivers box, and if anybody slowed, they have missed a chance of an improved lap, but the flag is out.
The good news is no pro car was on the cusp, so all our pro cars have made it into Superpole. So I don't think this has effectively ruled anyone out of our top 32. 74 does stay in Superpole contention as well, in 30th place.
So the fans that have stayed, some clad, some rather less so, That reminds me, I've got some cold chicken in the fridge. They are now finding themselves on the big screens and enjoying their evening of GT3 action here at Spa, which is now done. This gives us our top 32, which is in that timing tower you can see, and 9th for 007 Aston, which is decent. The best of the golds, number 58, gets through. The best silver, number 5, McLaren, gets through as well. So nice mix of cars. But of course, from here on in, it's a knockout, isn't it? 32 to 16, down to 8, down to 4.
Yeah, so all pro cars through. That's not a surprise. All gold cars through, bar one, the 24 Corvette from Stella Motorsport. And then we've got a splattering of silver cars as well, the 52 Ferrari, the 44 McLaren, the 66 Audi are Monza winners, the 6 Mercedes, 25 Audi, and that 5 McLaren. So a good representation from our younger, less experienced silver graded drivers as well.
Interesting session, a long session, granted, with the splits of the categories and also the interruptions via the red flag, but all done with good intent to give people that clear track space. Right, let's hear from one or two of the drivers before we go much further. Sarah Bovey, the Grand Marshal at Le Mans, is here, and she's with Gwinnell.
Sarah Bovey, congrats on that pole position in the Pro-Am class. It's done now for just 700 of a second. Great job from this full Belgian lineup today.
Yeah, it's a great surprise. It's a great way to end the day and to now look forward to the race. We were not especially expecting to be in the fight for the pole position in the class. We really focused on the race and didn't really do into quali sim and quali car. But I have to say that every single drivers and the team and the mechanics, they really did an awesome job to provide us with a car that was fast enough, just fast enough, but still fast enough. We got a little moment of heat when one lap got delayed of my quali because of something happening in the pit lane. No big deal, but you know the rules are the rules and it's normal. But at the end, we still keep the pole position, so super happy with that, and thanks for the entire team.
Congrats for this Belgian pole position in Belgium.
Yeah, good result for the home fans. Sarah Bovey, normally, as you see from the cap, part of the Iron Dames team. Well, there's the star of the night for many, Fabian Schiller, doing that gun time of a 2:16.817. Maxi Goetz there in the background. His bespectacled co-driver, Maxime Martin, will be very pleased with that as well, thinking that maybe he could have a second win. Of course, his father and his uncle, winners of the 24 Hours of Spa as well. So very much a family affair, this event. And that Mercedes AMG is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Let us hear, though, from Fabian Schiller. Really, really good effort that into the 16s at the end. He's with Bryn.
Yeah, thanks very much. Fabian, that is exactly what you needed to do. It gets you through into Super Pole, which is the most important thing, but getting down into the 16s, there's not many that have done that.
No, for sure. I mean, main goal was... the main goal was getting the car into Super Pole, for sure. That's the target, and starting grid will be decided tomorrow, but obviously it's not that often during a weekend like Spa where you get such a clean run like we got now with the qualifying groups, and then obviously you're still pushing as much as you can and trying to check the car under those conditions also, because it's getting a little bit colder, which is something we will probably face during Saturday, Sunday at one point. And no, it's been fun. The car was great to drive, and as always, it's a pleasure to be around here in Spa.
Rest up.
Thank you.
We might have to send Gwinnell back down to see Sarah Bovey, because now that that lap time has been taken away from 700 and the average has all been calculated, 700 Aston drops to 63rd, so it loses the Pro-Am pole, and that gives 86 Porsche, the high-class car, pole position in class outside Super Pole. So this is the provisional order, barring any penalties or lap infringements lurking in the system. Maxime Martin, Maxi Goetz and Fabian Schiller take the top time, from Alessio Rovera, Tommaso Mosca and Nicholas Nielsen's efforts, with Ricardo Feller, Thomas Preining and Bastien Boos third. The best of gold, Tom Fleming, Louis Pret, Benji Goethe. The best silver, Mikey Porter, Guillaume Oliveira, Dante Rapponge and Salman Ovega. In bronze, 74, the Kessel Ferrari of Dustin Blattner, Ben Tuck, Mathieu Jaubert and Dennis Marshall 30th, so they just squeeze in to Super Pole. And also the Pro-Am pole, then, as I say, now goes the way of 86. That was the Porsche from high class of Kerong Lee, Anders Fjordbach, Bob Yuan and Leo Yi. So bit of shuffling right at the very end. That lap time being taken away from 700 does change the order. But an interesting session, and we look forward then to Superpole tomorrow. 65 Mustang, I don't think ever got out because that didn't record a lap time. So 65 Mustang and also the number 12 Mercedes AMG, that we knew was having an engine change. They're the two that don't get a lap time. But for now, the photographs are taken of our three happy Mercedes AMG drivers down in the pit lane. Let's quickly hear from Simon Gachet. He got the fastest lap of the night, and he is with Gwenel.
I'm here with the fastest guy on track tonight, Simon Gachet. You were flying 2.16.685, unbeaten lap time tonight.
Yeah, the car was really amazing to drive. CSA team did a really great job this weekend. It was quite tough this morning, so it's a good comeback. But now we are going to the Superpole, so let's see what we can do tomorrow.
Yes, cherry on the cake is the Superpole tomorrow.
Yeah, the guys on the Superpole tomorrow. I'm so happy. You know, I lost a friend 7 years ago. It was Antoine. So I'm thinking about him every time when I'm at Spa. So yeah, it's for him.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Congrats again.
So let's have a look back at qualifying. A session for qualifying for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa that began in hot temperatures and bright sunshine, with the first group of cars being sent out onto the circuit, with, in some cases, the lower graded driver doing the opening stint, in others, a higher graded driver trying to get the car up the order early on the average, setting a benchmark time and hoping maybe that their cars were better in the warm than in the cool. McLaren's had good pace early on, so too did Ferraris, and with the green flag being waved, the different groups added themselves to the circuit. New this weekend, Pro-Am, and an early good car was the 700 Aston. Then there was drama as Reinhold Crown was fired off into the gravel bed, and that brought a red flag. On the restart, Ben Tuck was determined to get on track quicker than Peter Dempsey. Then another red flag, two more tangling down at Speaker's Corner. They were extricated and we went green once again, with Aurélien Panis looking rapid in the Get Speed Bartone Mercedes AMG. Tom Fleming was flying early doors also for Garage 59. And the number 50 Ferrari with Lila Wadu at the wheel was quick in her isolated session. So different drivers, different groups, qualifying taking a different look all the way through, as Tim Heinemann had a big drama coming out of the Cours Paul Frère. Simon Gachet was rapid in his session and proved the point by setting the fastest time of the night. So for Benjamin Pack, he was another quick driver as his Mercedes AMG cycled through its laps, and Mathieu Jaminet for the Hebert Motorsport team topped his group as well. But of course, it's not just the isolated lap times within the sessions, it's where you are on the average, and the fastest 32 would go through the Superpole, and that was a delighted Winwood Racing squad that got their car into the top group, but they didn't get the bronze pole because the fastest time there went to that number 74 Kessel Ferrari. The number 5 Optimum McLaren was looking strong as well, and as we got to the final part of qualifying, Audis were looking strong also, as to the end of qualifying came number 58. That was on target to take the gold pole provisionally and go 10th, at least the fastest gold of the night. On the average, number 80 Porsche was 3rd, 51 Ferrari would end up 2nd on the average, but it was the number 17 Mercedes AMG, Fabian Schiller, doing the time that topped the times. And that sets us up for Superpole tomorrow, which should be an absolute stormer here at Spa.